Chapter 948. F***ck, he still dares to laugh. Seeing Little Bookworm's idiotic smile, these big guys clearly felt humiliated by Little Bookworm. He could not help but increase the strength of his fists. Fortunately, there was a paladin who was constantly healing the Little Bookworm. Otherwise, with the small stature of a grandmaster of combat, the Little Bookworm would have been beaten to death by these big men without any equipment. What's that? Just as this group of big guys was getting excited, a burly figure jumped down from the roof. Needless to say, it was Wang Yu. Salmon Cuttlefish had been looking around, and the moment he saw someone jump down from the roof, he hurriedly shouted. Salmon Cuttlefish's voice had not even faded when countless magic arrows flew out from the corner of the Resurrection Point's entrance. Who would have thought that gentle beast, with his big and burly appearance, would have such a meticulous mind? With so many people guarding the door, he had actually arranged for an ambush. Of course, with Wang Yu's skills, how could an ordinary person hit him? Just as the magic arrows flew into the air, Wang Yu flashed in the air, and in the next moment, appeared beside Little Bookworm. Seeing Wang Yu's appearance, Gentle Beast was shocked. He hurriedly opened his friends list and asked Evildoers Run Wild, "Boss, where are you?" "Fishing in Atlan City, what's the matter?" Evildoers Run Wild asked. "No, nothing, just casually asking." Gentle Beast wiped his sweat, waved the battle axe in his hand, and ordered the few warriors, "Capture him." After giving the order, Gentle Beast immediately lowered his head and charged forward. At the same time, Gentle Beast was cursing Wang Yu in his heart. This shameless guy. He actually dared to change into Boss's appearance to deceive people. Scared the hell out of me. In order not to easily kill Little Bookworm, the few warriors who bullied Little Bookworm had deliberately taken off their equipment. Their weapons and armor were not on their bodies. These guys, fully armed, would not be a match for Wang Yu, let alone running naked. Without waiting for these guys to put on their equipment, Wang Yu punched and kicked the group of guys into white light. At the same time, Refined Animal rushed in front of Wang Yu. Wang Yu calmly reached out and pulled the only surviving Holy Knight in front of him. The Holy Knight was knocked to the side by the Refined Beast while he was still in a daze. Gentle Beast was also a ruthless person. Even after bumping into his own brother, he didn't stop. With both hands gripping the handle of his great axe, he swung it from left to right, activating Whirlwind Slash. Spinning in a circle, he chopped at Wang Yu and Bookworm. Wang Yu slashed the rope binding the Bookworm and pushed him out of the safe zone. Then, he jumped back and blasted Gentle Animal's head with a wave of his chi. Refined Beast cried out in pain as his Whirlwind Slash was interrupted. Immediately after, he raised his giant axe and jumped up to launch a collapsing mountain at Wang Yu. "Come at me." Seeing Gentle Beast jump, Wang Yu smiled. With one step, he crossed the distance of 2 meters and leaped under Gentle Beast. At this time, Gentle Beast had just landed. At this time, Wang Yu stretched out his hand and used Fierce Tiger Strike to grab Gentle Beast's leg. The Refined Beast immediately lost its balance and fell from the sky. The ranged classes lying in ambush also launched a second wave of attacks at Wang Yu. Seeing this, Wang Yu grabbed one of Gentle Beast's legs and swung it. Gentle Beast was like a weapon in Wang Yu's hands, receiving all the attacks. As expected of the guild leader, Gentle Beast was wearing a full set of gold equipment. His defense was extremely high. One wave of attacks actually didn't kill him, and he was still struggling. Wang Yu casually threw Gentle Beast to the ground. Then, he punched from top to bottom in between Gentle Beast's legs. Gentle Beast cried out in pain and was hit into white light. This wasn't because Wang Yu was cruel or had a bad sense of humor. It was because the crotch was a player's weak spot. Now that Wang Yu was surrounded, he naturally wanted to end the battle as quickly as possible. F***ck. Seeing Gentle Beast die, the people who were about to pounce couldn't help but feel a chill in their crotch. They hurriedly stopped. To be honest, everyone was working for a salary. No one wanted to have an occupational disease. The melee classes didn't dare to move forward. Only the ranged classes at the back were causing trouble. To move unhindered was a group of miners. The ranged classes were few and far between. Only a few of them had jumped ship from Mad Wolf. What could they do? Wang Yu easily dodged the attacks and jumped into the resurrection point. Inside the resurrection point, the little bookworm was moved to tears. Nyogo, you really came, of course. I'm a man of my word. Wang Yu smiled lightly. The little bookworm said guiltily, It's a pity that I'm useless. I've implicated you. If I had known, I would have forcefully logged off. Wang Yu said, If they want to deal with you, even if you forcefully logged off, it's useless. Wang Yu couldn't be any more familiar with these big guilds. In order to establish their dominance, they wouldn't let go of any opportunity to show off their might. Poor little bookworm, once he was targeted by them, he wouldn't be able to play games anymore. It's even worse now. You won't be able to play games anymore. The little bookworm was still feeling guilty for implicating Wang Yu. Alive, alive. Wang Yu laughed proudly. With just these few small fries, I can come and go as I please. Humph, is that so? At this time, Gentle Beast had already resurrected. Hearing Wang Yu's words, he couldn't help but snort coldly. He brought his subordinates to block the entrance of the resurrection point. Hearing that Wang Yu was stuck at the resurrection point, all the players from Unhindered immediately swarmed over from all directions. In just a short while, the entire first ring street was completely blocked off. To move unhindered players outside the resurrection point increased. Wang Yu's expression changed. Wang Yu had Qinggong. No matter how many short-legged warriors there were, they wouldn't be able to stop him. But if he had to bring along the little bookworm, it would be as difficult as ascending to heaven. As the players' levels and equipment increased, it was difficult for Wang Yu to instantly kill Tang. To move unhindered, there was no shortage of warriors. That was why Wang Yu was now running for his life. However, Wang Yu had come here to take the little bookworm away. If the little bookworm couldn't leave, wouldn't this trip be a waste? For a moment, Wang Yu began to feel conflicted. Seeing the conflicted expression on Wang Yu's face, Gentle Beast proudly taunted, Aren't you awesome? Why don't you take a step forward and show me? Wang Yu looked at Gentle Beast's face and couldn't help but laugh coldly. I advise you to apologize to my friends and then send us away. Otherwise you will regret it. Haha, I'm so scared. When Refined Animal heard this, he could not help but laugh out loud. Even Trinity Cuttlefish and the other unhindered players behind him could not help but agree with him. Meow, to make the people of Unhindered the world regret it, was this guy still dreaming? Nyogu, if you really can't do it, just leave. The little bookworm saw that Wang Yu was like a tiger in a flat mountain, and he felt even more guilty. Don't worry. Later, they will beg us to leave. Wang Yu muttered. He called out the control panel and opened the Friends interface. Chapter 949. Are you there? Wang Yu opened his friends list, found Evildoers Run Wild, and sent a message. Soon, Evildoers Run Wild replied, Boss, why do you have the time to chat with me today? Where are you? Wang Yu asked directly. Fishing in Atlan City. Evildoers Run Wild mumbled as he replied, Strange, why do people keep asking me this question today? Oh, I heard that your business is quite extensive now. You've started to collect protection fees in scenic areas? Wang Yu asked in a slightly questioning tone. Evildoers Run Wild was stunned when he heard this and quickly said, How can that be? To move unhindered to collect protection fees is in the mining area. Those trash collecting fees in scenic areas are not the same as us. Regardless of the city's mining area, there would always be monsters occupying it. Therefore, it was reasonable for Unhindered to collect some protection fees for clearing out the monsters. As for the scenic spots, they were places for players to sightsee. There were no monsters there, and there was no tourism department in the game. Anyone who collected fees at the scenic spots was a hooligan. Is that so? Wang Yu was stunned. Do you know about the Mad Wolf Guild? I know. Hope City. Our Hope City branch is preparing to absorb them. They just submitted the report not long ago. I haven't approved it yet, Evildoers Run Wild replied. It seemed that Evildoers Run Wild was playing quite properly. No need for approval, Wang Yu said. What do you mean? Evildoers Run Wild's heart skipped a beat. Wang Yu said lightly, these people collected protection fees in scenic areas. I was afraid that they would embarrass you, so I cleaned them up. F***ck. These guys. Evildoers Run Wild almost went crazy when he heard this. That was a guild establishment. Was it going to be destroyed just like that? Seeing Evildoers Run Wild's reaction, Wang Yu said coldly, I came all the way to clean up your guild. How about it? Are you touched? Seeing Wang Yu's unfriendly tone, Evildoers Run Wild swallowed his grievances and quickly replied, No, I don't dare to move. Evildoers Run Wild knew Wang Yu's temper. Wang Yu had been strictly disciplined since childhood. He did not have much entertainment and relied on teaching Evildoers Run Wild a lesson. Evildoers Run Wild had always lived in Wang Yu's shadow. To move unhindered guild's reserves aside, even if Wang Yu massacred the headquarters of Evildoers Run Wild, Evildoers Run Wild would probably cry and praise him for doing a good job. Seeing Evildoers Run Wild being so obedient, Wang Yu also started to preach to him as an older brother. You're already an adult, yet you don't even know how to take in underlings. You're doing such a big business. Don't you know that one rat's poop spoils the whole pot of soup? I'm doing this for your own good. Fine. Brother, did something happen to you? It seemed that Evildoers Run Wild really understood Wang Yu's character. He knew that this kid would not come to preach to him for no reason. I'm in Hope City. Your underlings blocked my resurrection point, Wang Yu said calmly. I knew it. Evildoers Run Wild slapped his thigh. He finally understood why this gentle beast asked where he was. Meow, this guy had poked a hornet's nest. Wait for me, I'm coming. Evildoers Run Wild hurriedly put away his fishing rod and ran towards the city. Wang Yu said, Stop fooling around. Atlanta is a few hours away from here. I don't need to pay for my resurrection point card. Just send a message to your underlings. Okay. Evildoers Run Wild responded and clumsily opened the dialogue window with gentle beast. Bastard, aren't you very arrogant? Do you believe that your grandfather will not let you out for the rest of your life? At this time, Gentle Beast was leading Salmon Cuttlefish and the others to block the resurrection point and provoke them. Little Bookworm was frightened by Gentle Beast and said with a bitter face, Nyo go, they do what they say. Wang Yu laughed and said, Don't worry. If you don't go out soon, he will kneel down. Just as Wang Yu finished speaking, Gentle Beast suddenly received a message from Evildoers Run Wild. Did you block a Grandmaster of Combat in Hope City? Evildoers Run Wild asked angrily. Yes. When Gentle Beast saw Evildoers Run Wild's message, he quickly said, This bastard impersonated you and behaved atrociously in Hope City. I've already blocked him. Boss, how do you want him to die? Bullsh *T. Evildoers Run Wild heard this and said angrily, Hurry up and let him go. Gentle Beast originally thought that he could claim credit for capturing the person impersonating Evildoers Run Wild, but now he was dumbfounded by Evildoers Run Wild's scolding. Boss, he is impersonating you. Gentle Beast sent another message to confirm. Impersonate your grandfather. King cause trouble for me. Evildoers Run Wild said, That's my brother. Hurry up and let him go. You're your brother? You're not joking, right? Gentle Beast was completely dumbfounded this time. Since ancient times, there were two types of people in the workplace that should not be messed with. The boss's brother and the boss's brother-in-law. This time, he had offended the boss's brother. Gentle Beast suddenly felt that his future was bleak. Do I look like I'm joking with you? Hurry up and let him go. While you're at it, get rid of the people from Mad Wolf. Otherwise, I'll kill you. Evildoers Run Wild threatened. Gentle Beast glanced at Wang Yu, who was sneering at the resurrection point, and asked, What if he doesn't leave? Evildoers Run Wild said, If he doesn't leave, I'll still kill you. Boss, you're really fair. Gentle Beast replied tearlessly and closed the conversation. He then walked in front of Wang Yu with his head held high. To move unhindered at the entrance of the resurrection point, the crowd was secretly amazed at Gentle Beast's courage. He actually dared to get so close to such a crazy person. Boss, you should leave. Gentle Beast walked in front of Wang Yu and said helplessly. To move unhindered at Gentle Beast's words, everyone fell to the ground. Even Bookworm was shocked by Gentle Beast. He pulled Wang Yu and said, Nyogo, don't listen to him. There's definitely a trap. Beast, are you AF King idiot? You actually want to let him go? We haven't even avenged our guild. Salmon Cuttlefish was even more furious when he heard this. He pointed at Gentle Beast and started cursing. Sorry. Cultured Beast gave Salmon Cuttlefish an apologetic shrug. Immediately after, Salmon Cuttlefish and a few other core members of Mad Wolf who had just joined Reigning the World received a system notification. You have been removed from the guild by Cultured Beast. F***CK. Ling Hong Yu, are you F***King retarded? Salmon Cuttlefish was so anxious that he even shouted Gentle Beast's real name. Who's serving? Who cares? Brother, I'll treat you to a meal another day. I'm sorry today. As he spoke, Gentle Beast waved at his subordinates nearby. To move unhindered, Salmon Cuttlefish was hacked to death by the players. What a joke. The one at the resurrection point was the boss's brother. It was so hard to find a job nowadays. To move unhindered, Gentle Beast had a high salary and many people were envious of him. How could he lose his job because of someone else? What's going on? To move unhindered and Salmon Cuttlefish outside the resurrection point, Bookworm had no idea what was going on. Nothing. Wang Yu smiled and said, I just greeted their boss. You really know their boss? The little Bookworm was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped to the ground. When the little Bookworm had first heard Wang Yu say that this person was the boss of Unhindered, he had thought that Wang Yu was just bragging. Of course, their boss is my brother. Chapter 950. Wang Yu was not the kind of person who would not give in when he was in the right. Since Gentle Beast had already admitted defeat, Wang Yu did not pursue the matter any further. Even if he pursued the matter, Bookworm was only beaten up once. He did not suffer any losses. To move unhindered, a few of Gentle Beast's people had died. It was better to call it even. After all, Evildoers Run Wild had given face to Wang Yu. After settling the matter in Hope City, Wang Yu boarded the airship back to Yuhuiqing. As for Bookworm, he chose to stay in Hope City. To move unhindered now that everyone knew Wang Yu's identity, no one would make things difficult for Bookworm anymore. Returning to Yuhuiqing, the first thing Wang Yu did was run to the blacksmith shop. The old blacksmith, Simba, was still half dead. When he saw Wang Yu return, he only raised his eyelids slightly. He did not say much. I've completed the mission. Wang Yu took out the spirit of the craftsman god and said to Simba, Oh, I'll have to trouble you to pass this to Arya. Simba said listlessly. Of course. Wang Yu curled his lips and said, Where's my reward? Initially, Wang Yu and Simba had agreed that after the mission was completed, Simba would help Wang Yu raise his sub-profession level. Reward? Simba shook his head and said, What reward? What do you think? Of course it's to raise the sub-profession level. Wang Yu was angry. How did this NPC learn to renege on his promise? About that, Simba smiled and said, I forgot to tell you. Demonic alchemy is a secret art of the ancient Titans. The highest level is advanced. Back then, I told you to raise your sub-profession level to the highest level. You're already at the highest level. Why are you still looking for me? No matter how good Wang Yu's temper was, when he heard Simba's words, he almost spat out vulgarities. What the hell was this? He actually played this kind of word game and swindled the reward that he had gotten. This quest hadn't been easy for Wang Yu. Not only had he been chased by players, but he had also been chased by a level 100 super boss. Wang Yu had been playing games for a while now, so he was no longer the ignorant novice. How could he be willing to work for the system for free? Seeing Simba acting shamelessly, Wang Yu did not spoil him. He looked at the craftsman god's spirit in his hand and said with a smile, "All right then. Since my reward is gone, I think this craftsman god's spirit looks pretty good. It's better to keep it." Hearing this, Simba's eyes turned cold, and his expression suddenly softened. "Mission item, why do you want to keep it? You can't use it. It's beautiful." Wang Yu weighed the craftsman god's spirit in his hand and said, "Nowadays, female players like this kind of shiny thing. I think I can buy it for at least 500 gold. It should be enough for my travel expenses." Seeing that Wang Yu's expression didn't seem to be fake, old man Simba immediately panicked. He hurriedly said, Look at how muddle-headed I am. I drank too much just now. What did you ask? Reward, right?" "Yes, reward." Wang Yu nodded. Simba said helplessly, "That magic refinement art is indeed of the highest level. Even if you force me to my death, I won't be able to raise it. However, I obtained this when I was roaming the continent. See if you can use it?" As he spoke, Simba took out a pure white feather. Seeing the feather in Simba's hand, Wang Yu was infuriated. He pointed at Simba and said angrily, "Old man, you're so disloyal. I treated you as my teacher and went to great lengths to help you, and you only gave me a feather?" Indeed, Wang Yu was somewhat resistant to this mission. He only made this trip because of Simba. Who knew that Wang Yu treated Simba as his teacher? This NPC was so heartless. After going to great lengths for so long, he only gave him a feather. He might as well not have given him anything. "This isn't an ordinary feather. Don't poke it. Right now, it's the best thing I have on me." Simba shook his head, looking as if he didn't want it. With such low quality, he deserved to be a single old dog. Yes, why not? Wang Yu was already used to this NPC's behavior. Having something was better than nothing. Hence, he extended his hand and took the feather. Divine feather, extremely valuable item. Bound after picking up. Cannot be traded, lost, or destroyed. It was actually a three-way item. As soon as the divine feather's attributes were displayed, Wang Yu couldn't help but be surprised. The so-called three-way item naturally referred to the three attributes: cannot be traded, cannot be lost, and cannot be destroyed. In Rebirth, anything with even one attribute was extremely rare. For example, priceless guild treasures were classified as indestructible items. As for the three-way item, it was the treatment of legendary godly equipment. Until now, there were only a few of them in the entire game. Wang Yu often hung out with Xuanzhen's experts, so he had naturally heard of these top-notch items. He didn't think that the three-way item he had painstakingly obtained was actually a feather with unknown functions. This was in the truest sense of the word. What's this for? What's this for? Wang Yu looked at the feather in his hand and asked Simba in confusion. Simba shook his head and said, "If I knew what it was for, would I still give it to you?" Simba's answer was very honest. Wang Yu resisted the urge to beat him up. After some thought, he finally put the feather back into his bag and swallowed his anger and left the smithy. The three-way item, once bound, could not be sold, let alone thrown away. This old man Simba must have done it on purpose. Wang Yu, who was made a fool of by Simba, was currently quite dissatisfied. He lowered his head to look at the spirit of the craftsman god in his hand. Wang Yu opened his friend list and sent a message to Wuji. "I want to steal an item. Tell me what's going on?" Wuji was slightly surprised by Wang Yu's thoughts. Wang Yu was the last moral baseline of Chuanjin. How did he fall for it? Wang Yu didn't hide anything. He told Wuji everything about the old loser Simba and the scheming bitch Arya. So that's how it is. Wuji smiled and said, "That's easy. How do I do it?" "You have to think from another perspective," Wuji said. "If someone pursues your wife, and your wife uses that person's item to please you, will you accept it?" "Nonsense," Wang Yu said angrily. "How am I that kind of person?" "Then that's it," Wuji said. "I think the city lord is an overlord. You won't be that kind of person. You don't need me to teach you how to do it, right?" "Wuji, you're really a scumbag." Wang Yu heard it and couldn't help but praise. "Are you complimenting me?" Wuji laughed. "What do you think?" Wang Yu asked. "Yes," Wuji said. Chapter 951. Wuji was indeed a scumbag amongst scumbags. He was able to see the blood on the first prick and was incomparably ruthless. He directly pointed out the main point of the matter. Wang Yu was also a talented student. With just a few words, Wang Yu knew what to do next. After hanging up with Wuji, Wang Yu took the craftsman god soul and returned to the city lord's mansion. He didn't look for Arya, but went to look for the acting city lord Willie. It had to be said that Willie was still the city lord. He hadn't stopped working for half a day, and Willie was still busy. Just based on his conscientious dedication, Willie was much better than Wang Yu, who had abandoned his job and ran away. Of course, players couldn't be compared to NPCs. Seeing Wang Yu enter the hall, Willie quickly came up to him. "City Lord, you're back." Life really was full of ups and downs. This morning, it was still Wang Yu and the others who greeted him. Now, the roles had changed. Wang Yu didn't come here to show off. Seeing City Lord Willie, Wang Yu took out the craftsman god soul and said, "Do you know what this is?" Willie was a knowledgeable person. When he saw the craftsman god's soul in Wang Yu's hand, he said with surprise and envy, "This seems to be the craftsman god's soul. It can raise one's cultivation realm. Where did City Lord find such a precious treasure?" "Oh." Wang Yu nodded and said, "Do you know old Simba from the blacksmith shop?" Wang Yu was asking the obvious. Simba had been eyeing Willie's wife for a long time. How could Willie not know him? Hearing Wang Yu mention old Simba's name, the city lord's face turned ugly. He said in a low voice, "He's just a piece of trash. We've met a few years ago." Wang Yu smiled. "He gave this to me. He told me to pass it to Arya. But I think it's better for you to pass it to her." As expected, when Willie heard Wang Yu's words, his face immediately turned green. He said angrily, "City Lord, I think you've misunderstood. My wife doesn't know that person at all." "Really?" Wang Yu pretended not to know anything and said, "Then I'll go find Arya myself. After all, this is my mission." "No need." The city lord waved his hand and said, "Such a precious item, we really can't afford it. City Lord, please take it back." "That's hard to say. What about my quest?" Wang Yu said awkwardly. "If a player cancels a quest for no reason, their honor points will be deducted." "Humph." Willie glanced at Wang Yu, took out a box and handed it to Wang Yu. "Is this enough?" Wang Yu took the box and opened it. Inside were 6 thumb-sized, diamond-shaped orange gems. Creation gem. Precious ore. It was a precious ore that could be used to repair and forge artifacts. It was actually an ore, and an ore that could be used to forge artifacts, to move unhindered in the current mining industry. The price of ores, especially rare ores, were very high. Some rare ores were even comparable to dark gold-grade equipment. Willie took out 6 creation gems in one go. As expected of a former city lord, he was indeed domineering. Should I tell Arya about it? After interacting with NPCs for so long, Wang Yu was well versed in the ways of doing things. When dealing with these shameless bastards, she needed to take care of every aspect. She couldn't leave even the slightest trace of weakness. Otherwise, not only would she be able to take back the rewards she had obtained, but she would also be able to make the player pay a little. Willie said coldly, "There's no need. What I said is what she said." "Alright, that's what you said." Wang Yu smiled to himself and kept the craftsman god's soul. He then walked out of the city lord's mansion. Wuji was indeed sinister. He had instructed Wang Yu to do this. Even if Arya jumped into the Yellow River, she wouldn't be able to clear her name. He didn't know how NPCAI worked in the game, but if it was in real life, the consequences would be unimaginable. Wang Yu suddenly sympathized with Wuji's neighbor. If she were to offend a despicable person like Wuji one day, who knew what would happen to her? After leaving the city lord's mansion, Wang Yu went into the blacksmith's shop again and went to Simba. "How is it? Did you give it to her?" Simba asked when he saw Wang Yu. Wang Yu shrugged. "She doesn't want your kindness." "How is that possible? She wrote me a letter personally." When Simba heard this, he stared at Wang Yu with a face full of grievance as if he had received a huge blow. Wang Yu comforted him. "Don't guess a woman's thoughts. Maybe she's just playing with you. Speaking of which, what should we do with the craftsman god's soul?" As he spoke, Wang Yu took out the craftsman god's soul and played with it. Simba said with a face full of despair, "From the day I left the godhead, the craftsman god's soul will no longer acknowledge me. Since you went through so much trouble to get it, it's up to you whether you want to return it or use it for yourself. I want some time alone." Simba ignored Wang Yu after he finished speaking. "Think about it slowly." After getting Simba's approval, Wang Yu looked at the craftsman god's soul again. The layer of dark red on the craftsman god's soul was peeled off, revealing its transparent body. The words, "Quest item," were no longer in the description. Craftsman god's soul, usable, strength plus 50, permanent, agility plus 50, permanent, physique plus 50, permanent, godhead. Subprofession level plus 1, permanent. Item description. Craftsman god Simba's godhead. The system was as shameless as always. It was a divine item that could forcibly increase one's realm, but it could only be used by players to increase their subprofession. Although increasing the subprofession level was not much easier than increasing one's realm for players, subprofessions were not the mainstream playstyle for players, and could not be sold at a price that matched it. As for returning it, this was not within Wang Yu's consideration. Not to mention that Esther could not use this thing. Even if she could, how could Wang Yu return it so easily after going through so much trouble to get it? After thinking for a while, the final solution was naturally the simplest one. Wang Yu directly used it. The craftsman god's soul shattered and turned into a red light, fusing into Wang Yu's body. Wang Yu could clearly feel the increase in his attribute. At the same time, Wang Yu received a series of system notifications. System notification. You used the craftsman god's soul, subprofession level plus 1 system notification. Your magic refinement technique has leveled up to master level. System notification. Your subprofession has leveled up to master level. Unlocked the achievement Subprofession Supreme. Obtained the title Subprofession Supreme. *1. Obtained a certain amount of reputation points, a certain amount of experience points. Subprofession Supreme. Title, Rare, plus 10 Strength, plus 10 Physique, plus 10 Agility, plus 15 Intelligence, 15 Spirit. Subprofession Supreme. Subprofession Creation Success Rate increased by 5%. Item description. Who said subprofessions had no future? Chapter 952. Wang Yu wasn't interested in the title and ignored it after a quick glance. He opened the skill bar and pulled up the subprofession interface. Master Level Alchemy. The assimilation of refining and smelting. Creation. The basic blacksmith skill. Alchemy can create exquisite items. Smelting. The ability to smelt equipment of the same grade. Enchantment. The ability to enhance, maintain, and increase the attributes of equipment. Recast. Resets the attributes of the equipment. It can also make special unusable items regain their former glory. Description: a secret forging skill passed down from ancient times. It is said to be a secret skill used by the Titans to repair and create artifacts. There wasn't much difference between the introductions of master-level alchemy and advanced alchemy. Apart from the fact that the forging option had changed to creation, there was an additional sentence at the bottom. However, this sentence caught Wang Yu's attention. A secret skill to create artifacts? That was a bit exaggerated. In the game, players could only create dark gold equipment at most. Although Wang Yu had created epic equipment before, Wang Yu knew that the warrior's sai was originally a blueprint for an artifact. He was just using it as a foundation to recast it. The materials used to recast it were so expensive that evildoers run wild would cry. The so-called artifact crafting was just restoring the original appearance of the warrior's sai. It had nothing to do with crafting. Crafting was really creating something out of nothing. Moreover, in the setting of rebirth, the true godly equipment was legendary equipment. Epic equipment was at most a quasi-godly equipment. Creating a divine artifact, this introduction was indeed a little breathtaking. However, the system had always been very strict. Since it said that artifacts could be created, there was at least a certain chance of success. Wang Yu thought about it and sent a message to evildoers run wild. Do you have any blueprints for artifacts? Give me 2. Brother, it's my brother's business that he offended you. We're brothers, we can't hold a grudge. Evildoers run wild replied after a few minutes. Wang Yu said angrily, does your brother look like someone who holds a grudge? Hurry up and get me a few divine weapon blueprints. You're still holding a grudge. Let's extort something else. I really don't have that. Evildoers run wild was on the verge of tears. Wang Yu. He didn't expect this thing to be so rare. Come to think of it, it made sense. The server had only been open for a few months, and dark gold equipment forging recipes were already 1 in a million, not to mention godly equipment. Moreover, godly equipment had always been synthesized through quests or treasure hunt. There was no such thing as a recipe. After thinking about it, Wang Yu decided to ask Simba. After all, this guy used to be a divine smith, so he definitely knew about forging divine weapons. At this time, Simba seemed to have thought about Jing Jing. He was leaning against the wall in front of the blacksmith shop, looking at the setting sun in the sky. He looked like a lonely old man who had just lost his wife. Of course, he was just a lonely old man. He never had a wife. Seeing Simba like this, Wang Yu's heart ached. He took out a bottle of wine and placed it in front of Simba, saying, "Drink some, you'll forget about it." "Hey, what do you want again, kid?" Simba was also a sly old fox. He knew that Wang Yu wouldn't be fawning over him for no reason. Wang Yu laughed. "What's with the forging of godly equipment? Oh? You used the spirit of the craftsman god for yourself." Simba wasn't surprised by Wang Yu's question at all. For something like the spirit of the craftsman god, unless a real god didn't need it, anyone would take it for themselves. Yes. Wang Yu nodded. Simba said, "With your current level, you can't forge godly equipment. You need creation gems and god-tier materials. The feather I gave you is said to be a god-tier material, but I don't have creation gems." Creation gems? Wang Yu took out the box Willy gave him and placed it in front of Simba, saying, "This is it." Seeing the creation gems in Wang Yu's hand, Simba's eyes almost popped out. He said excitedly, Yes, this is it. I didn't expect you to have something like this." "Isn't it all thanks to you?" Wang Yu said to himself. He opened the creation interface of magic refinement, then placed a creation gem and the sacred feather in. Just as Simba said, after these 2 strange things were placed in the creation interface, the sacred feather actually had an introduction. Sacred feather, precious material that can be used to create godly equipment. Looking at the sacred feather's attributes, Wang Yu casually clicked on Create. System notification. missing main structure, unable to create. Main structure? What's that? Wang Yu was confused. It seemed that creating godly equipment wasn't as simple as he thought. It's something that corresponds to godly equipment materials, Simba said. It's similar to the model and blueprint of ordinary equipment. Corresponding model and blueprint of the sacred feather? Wang Yu was immediately put in a difficult position. This thing was too general. Where could he find it? Forget it, he'll think about it later. Wang Yu shook his head helplessly and clicked to close the interface. Just then, another notification popped up. Godly equipment creation has begun. Forcefully closing the interface will cause the material to shatter. Do you wish to close? Damn. There's something like this? This notification almost made Wang Yu slam the table. What kind of setting was this? He had never seen something that required materials to be added before the creation was cancelled. Wang Yu still had a few creation gems, so it was fine if he lost them. However, he only had one sacred feather, and it was Simba's trump card. If it was destroyed, who knew how long it would take to find another? Seeing Wang Yu's embarrassment, Simba laughed. Haha, you little thing. Godly equipment is a supreme existence. Once you start creating it, you have to use all your strength. How can you give it up just because you say so? Could be said that this NPC was very bad. He was in so much pain just now, but when he saw someone else in trouble, he immediately became happy. What kind of quality was this? Wang Yu said anxiously, "Don't laugh at me. Help me, okay?" "How can I help you?" Simba pointed to the sky and curled his lips. "We don't have as much freedom as you think. Think about it. Do you have anything related to feathers? Something like an arrow, a feather pen, wings, and so on." Wings. Hearing Simba's words, Wang Yu was stunned. He seemed to have thought of something and started rummaging through the spatial ring. Soon, Wang Yu pulled out a pair of white wings from the deepest part of the spatial ring. Angel wings, cloak, damaged, reparable, unwearable, item introduction, symbol of angel power, special item to enter certain special scenes. O Titan God above, you don't know what I saw. It's crazy. Seeing that Wang Yu had pulled out her wings, Simba panicked. He then asked solemnly, "What did you do?" "Quickly put it away, or the Church of Light will not forgive you." Can the Church of Light control the neutral camp? Just tell me if this thing can be used. Did Wang Yu not offend the Church of Light enough? He did not care about one more. It can be used. Simba nodded. As long as it can be used. Wang Yu casually put the angel wings into the creation column. Chapter 953. The angel's wings were no ordinary item. After Wang Yu clicked Create, the entire sky of Yu Huiqing changed. The sky, which had always been filled with the setting sun, was now filled with auspicious clouds. At the same time, the sound of singing could be heard in the sky, and the faint image of an angel could be seen circling in the sky. F***CK, which friend is going through another tribulation? Friend my ass, can't you see the angel? It's God. The players who saw the phenomenon in the sky began to discuss. This was the first time in the entire game that a godly item had been created. Naturally, Yu Huiqing had never experienced such a phenomenon before. Seeing the scene in the sky, everyone in the main city stopped what they were doing and started to take pictures and videos. They also called out their friends and family to come out and see God. In the Chuanjin channel, the people sighed at the phenomenon and couldn't help but discuss it. Did everyone see it? What's going on? Is the system going to release an event quest? There's still a week until the Qingming festival, right? Chun Xiang frowned and mumbled. Usually, in order to attract players, the game would release quests based on festivals. Of course, before an event quest was released, the game would exaggerate the environment. This was pretty much the norm. Famous Sword Daoshua said, "It can't be. I just asked the people in the other main cities. Only Yu Huiqing has this strange phenomenon. Moreover, even if it's the Qingming festival, there shouldn't be an angel in the sky. Indeed, the Qingming festival was an authentic China festival. Even if it was forcefully added into the Western fantasy MMORPG, there shouldn't be an angel. Daoxue, are you sure it's only our Yu Huiqing that's like this? Wuji rubbed his chin and asked. Daoxue nodded and said, yes. I asked a dozen of my friends. Even the Holy City didn't have this phenomenon. The Holy City was the largest main city of the Church of Light. If even the Holy City didn't have this phenomenon, then the other main cities didn't need to be mentioned. It can't be Old Cow's doing, right? Wuji immediately realized. Everyone was taken aback when they heard this. F***ck, he was probably the only one who could cause such a huge commotion in the entire game. Thinking up to this point, everyone asked Wang Yu in the guild channel, what's Old Cow doing? Iron Ox. Wang Yu's creation bar was still loading, and he could not leave the console. Seeing that someone was on his own, he opened the chat box and replied mysteriously, you guys might not believe me, but I'm making a divine weapon. Hearing this, everyone burst into tears. We believe you, we believe you. Damn it, it was indeed this kid who was stirring up trouble. As for Wang Yu's ability to stir up trouble, the Chuanjian team had been thoroughly convinced. As the legendary roving bandits, the people of Chuanjian were all extremely good at stirring up trouble. It was not until they met Wang Yu that they realized that there was always someone better out there. Not only was this person good at stirring up trouble, but he was also passionate about stirring up trouble. Every time he made a move, it was earth-shattering. These hooligans and habitual criminals didn't even dare to imagine it. This time, he actually managed to create an angel and a miracle. The younger generation will surpass us in time. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Not to mention that Wang Yu said that he was making a divine weapon, even if Wang Yu said that he was slapping the God of Lights, but everyone would choose to believe him unconditionally. Because he was creating a divine weapon, the loading time was much longer than usual. After a full 3 minutes, Wang Yu finished the loading. At this moment, the angel and the chanting in the sky disappeared, and a holy light descended from the sky, passing through the auspicious clouds and landing on Wang Yu's console in the blacksmith shop. At the same time, the system announcement sounded. Player Iron Ox has finally broken through the peak of his sub-profession after unremitting efforts, comprehended the power of creation, and created the first divine weapon in Rebirth created by a player, Angel's Wings. His name will forever be remembered by us. As usual, it was broadcasted 3 times on the world television. Soon, the news of Wang Yu creating a divine weapon spread to every corner of the game. Divine weapon! F***ck, as expected of me, the great god Tainyo, to actually create another divine tool. Just the name alone sounds amazing. Currently, Wang Yu's reputation was still very high in the hearts of the players. Damn, it's that Iron Ox again. Is this bastard cheating? I've finally reached the advanced blacksmith level, but he actually created a divine weapon. Some people worshipped him, while others were jealous. This is my brother, do you know? This is my brother. Next time, be careful, don't mess with him. Evildoers Run Wild pointed at the announcement above his head and pretended to be cool to his subordinate. Of course, the ones who were most surprised were those who had seen Wang Yu's abilities, especially the boss of the apocalypse, Dugu Jiuqiang, who saw Chuanjian as an old enemy. He was currently cursing, damn, it's fine if he's invincible, but he can also create divine weapons. Is there anything that this guy can't do now? Yes, he can't have children. Scram. In short, once this announcement was made, the gaming world was really in chaos. One had to know that Wang Yu had just appeared on TV in the morning because he had become the Castellan, and now he was appearing on TV because he had created a divine weapon. It was not easy to be announced by the system in the game. Even an expert player would be lucky to be announced in the World Channel once a month. Wang Yu had been announced twice in a day. Who the hell could they complain to? It was fine if he became a castellan. After all, it was only a matter of time before a player became a castellan. This was the same as conquering a guild base. Apart from ranking, there was not much difference. As long as one had enough power, becoming a castellan was only a matter of time. Moreover, there were only a few big guilds that liked to become castellans. Normal players valued their own strength and equipment more than anything else. They did not really care who the castellan was. When Wang Yu's announcement of creating a divine weapon was released, it immediately attracted everyone's attention. What was the point of playing the game? Wasn't it just equipment and levels? You couldn't possibly have sex in a virtual world where you couldn't even mate, right? As long as you worked hard, you would eventually be able to max out your level. However, equipment was completely a matter of luck, especially a divine weapon. That was something that could only be encountered by chance. In the entire gaming world, there were only so many non-renewable resources. Normal players did not even dare to dream of epic-grade items. But now, someone had actually created a divine weapon. F***ck. One could imagine how shocked the players were. At this time, the calmest ones were the Yu Huiqing players. They seemed to be used to seeing Wang Yu causing trouble everywhere. Originally, everyone was still surprised that only Yu Huiqing had a natural phenomenon. When they saw the system announcement, their surprise became understandable. So it was the bull god. Who was I? After everyone sighed, they went back to their own business, as if nothing had happened. Chapter 954. At the same time as the world announcement, Wang Yu also received a bunch of system notifications. System notification: you have created the legendary equipment, Angel Wings. Reputation plus 5,000, Light Faction Honor minus 100, EXP plus. Unlocked Achievement Creator. You have obtained the title Creator. Creator, title, creation from nothing, active skill. Instantly replenishes HP after use. Cooldown: 7,200 seconds. As the first player to create a legendary equipment, the system was not stingy at all. It rewarded him with plenty of EXP and reputation. The title skill was also quite useful. However, the Light Faction Honor minus 100 made Wang Yu's heart ache. The Light Faction was also at odds with Wang Yu. Ever since Wang Yu started playing the game, the Light Faction's honor points had never been positive for more than a few days. Thinking about it, the materials Wang Yu used to create the angel wings were all extraordinary. The angel wings were taken from a god's puppet, and the holy feather was probably taken from a god. Even if it was a creation gem, the Church of Light would not tolerate it. After all, the Church of Light only allowed their god to create everything. These three materials were all against the Church of Light. If this didn't reduce his honor points, then it would be unreasonable. Of course, Wang Yu did not care about the Church of Light's honor points dropping. After all, Wang Yu belonged to the neutral faction. He was an existence that no one dared to provoke. The Light Faction was currently in a standoff with the Dark Faction. It would be foolish to provoke the neutral faction. Old cow, let's see the attributes of the legendary equipment. At this moment, the Chuanjin Guild channel was bustling with activity. To be honest, even they had never seen a real legendary equipment before. Wang Yu actually had a legendary ring on him. However, it was a defective item and not worth mentioning. Wang Yu was not the kind of person to hide things. He casually sent the attributes of the angel wings to the group. Angel wings, cloak, legendary, physical defense, 500-500 magic defense, 500-500 HP plus 1500 MP plus 1500 agility plus 50 vitality plus 50 strength plus 50 critical hit rate plus 30% radiant wings. Passive skill. Players equipped with the angel wings can fly high in the sky. Movement speed plus 310%. Activating flight mode costs 200 MP per second. Current status: off. Blessing of Light. Passive skill. Increases luck by 10%. Guardian of Light, passive skill. When receiving a fatal attack, there is a 30% chance that the damage will be converted into healing. Light Prayer, passive skill, increases the maximum HP of all party members within a 500 range by 10%. Flames of Light, passive skill. Non-friendly targets within a 500 range will receive 1% of their maximum HP as true damage every second. Current status, off. Light Impact, active skill. Swoops down from a high altitude, creating a light hurricane to attack the target. The longer the dive, the more obvious the damage. Item description. As the symbol of the God of Light's most loyal servant, the angel wings possess unparalleled power and supreme glory. Only those who are loyal to God are worthy of enjoying the glory bestowed by God. Apart from them, all are filthy defilers of God. Profession requirement. General level requirement. 50 special skill. Eternal Paradise, active skill. Devout believer can borrow the power of the light god to purify all targets within a 500-meter radius. This legendary equipment doesn't seem that good. Everyone was a little disappointed when they saw the attributes of the angel wings. In fact, the main attributes of the angel wings were all the highest. It was still worthy of a legendary equipment. The reason why everyone was disappointed was because of its additional attribute. The angel wings had a total of 6 additional attributes, but only the radiant wings' additional attribute was relatively practical. The other additional attributes were basically useless. They weren't even comparable to Bao San and Ian Lauer's epic equipment. There was no need to talk about light impact. It was a non-directional skill that required a high-altitude dive. This was easier said than done, but when it came to executing it, only professional fighter pilots would be able to master it. The other skills were even more trash. They were simply improved versions of the aura skills of the night class. There was no creativity at all. It would be fine if it appeared on a normal piece of equipment, but it appeared on a legendary piece of equipment. Wang Yu was quite optimistic. It's not bad. After all, it's a godly equipment created by players. How strong are its attributes? That's true. Everyone nodded. Players were not the creator, nor were they the system. Being able to create a godly equipment was already a heaven-defying feat. If the attributes of a godly equipment were even more heaven-defying, the balance of the game would be destroyed. Moreover, the cloak was a brand new equipment slot that had only appeared after several updates. At present, most players had not seen this part of the equipment. Therefore, Wang Yu's angel wings could be considered an extra piece of equipment. With so many additional attributes, he could not ask for too much. The angel wings could only be equipped at level 50. Wang Yu was currently level 47. With this equipment, Wang Yu's motivation to level up would greatly increase. However, after players reached level 40, the amount of EXP needed to level up was frightening. For an expert like Wang Yu, who could solo monsters 20 levels above him, leveling up was extremely slow. The life of leveling up was very boring, especially for experts like Wang Yu who had no one to grind monsters with. After 5 days of crazy grinding, Wang Yu lost count of how many monsters he killed. In the end, when he saw monsters, he wanted to vomit. In the end, after Wang Yu reached level 49, he stopped this endless and boring repetitive thing. It could not be helped. If it was a strong opponent, Wang Yu might have been able to persist. However, he had to deal with these stupid, brainless monsters every day. For Wang Yu to persist for 5 days in a row, it could be considered amazing perseverance. Are there any bosses or quests? I'm about to die. You guys go and cause some trouble. These few days, the bastards in Xuanzhen were surprisingly quiet. They did not go and cause trouble, nor did they get beaten up. This was also the reason why Wang Yu was so bored. Wang Yu was so bored that he instigated others to cause trouble. Everyone had basically confirmed how bored Wang Yu was, so they replied, "Hasn't Old Cow been looking at the official website recently?" Wang Yu said, I've been leveling alone. I don't have the heart to care about other things. Spring said, the event is about to start. I heard that this event not only gives a lot of EXP, but you can also exchange for a special cloak. Cloak? Wang Yu looked at the angel wings in his bag and said, I only got this cloak a few days ago, and the system is already giving it away. You're still young. Wu Ji laughed. For the game's balance, the game company has to do this. Balance was a very important thing in online games. Once the game lost balance, it would lose a lot of players. Therefore, it was impossible to have a unique item. In the past, the cloak was semi-open. No one had it, so there would be no balance problem. Now that Wang Yu had a cloak, and other players didn't, it affected the balance of the game. Naturally, the system had to symbolically organize an event to make up for the player's mentality. Not to mention the cloak, even if it was a legendary unique godly item, if a player really had a complete godly item, the system would definitely open up a godly item system to satisfy the player's thirst. This was a trap. Chapter 955. As the saying goes, boredom breeds trouble, Chuanjin's group. The system's event wasn't a bad thing for Chuanjin's group. After all, even someone as loyal as Wang Yu would want to stir up trouble after hanging out with the people from the Chuanjin sect for a long time. Not to mention this group of bad guys. Once they got bored, who knew what they would do? The date of the event was set to be 3 days before the Qingming festival. During these 3 days, both the school and the company would be on holiday, and basically everyone would have time to play the game. At the same time, the online statistics would definitely be high. Didn't online games rely on this to promote themselves? However, for the players, having a high online rate wasn't a good thing. Resources were limited, and the more players there were, the lower the chances of getting resources. It would only lower the chances of winning. In fact, from the moment they knew about the event, the players were very curious about how to celebrate an Eastern festival in a Western fantasy game. The game company seemed to have grasped the players' mentality, and didn't reveal anything about the event at all. However, the event's rewards were announced the day before the Qingming festival. Just as Chun Xiang said, the reward for this event was a rare equipment like the cloak. In Rebirth, each of the 7 main classes had their own class cloak. Warriors, Emperor's Cloak, Mages, Holy Magic Space, Rogues, Dark Stealth Priests, Holy Light, Knights, Holy Light, Archers, Elf Wings, Fighters, Heavenly Wings. These 7 class cloaks could only be exchanged with the quest items obtained from the event's quests. As for the attributes, all the cloaks were dark gold equipment. Apart from the main attribute of defense, there were also various additional skills. What was more attractive to the players was that these cloaks had the ability to fly. These class cloaks' flight speed bonus was only 125%, the same as a beginner's mount. The consumption was also 5 times that of Wang Yu's, and the MP consumption was as high as 1,000 per second. With such a shocking consumption, other than the few magic classes that relied on MP to survive, the other classes could only fly for tens of seconds. Even so, the players were extremely excited. Flying, that person never had this wish when he was young. Other online games didn't lack flying skills and items, but no matter how realistic those games were, they couldn't be as immersive as the holographic mode. Therefore, when they saw the promotion on the official website, many people who did not play games started thinking about playing games. Of course, this was just the game company's marketing strategy. As for how many dark gold capes there were, or even if there were any, the game company had the final right to explain. It was just like when we ate crispy noodle snacks when we were young. Anyway, I had eaten so many crispy noodle snacks, but I still couldn't collect a complete set. I deeply suspected that my 270 kilograms weight had something to do with the crispy noodle snack company. Luckily, Uncle Nyo was magnanimous and chose to forgive them. Well, that was a little off topic. On the day of the event, almost all the players, including Wang Yu, entered the game early in the morning to wait. There is a poem that goes like this: Qingming Festival is raining. Needless to say, the game company really knew how to spice up the atmosphere. At this time, it was drizzling in all 300 main cities in the game. For the players of Yu Huiqing who had vomited from watching the sunset, it was really a special feeling. Leaving aside whether or not the pedestrians on the road had their souls broken, the players were so anxious that they had lost their souls. 8 o'clock in the morning. With a flash of lightning, the event began. At the same time, a quest appeared in every player's quest window. Quest: Qingming Festival Quest Details. Qingming Festival is a festival to worship ancestors and sweep graves. At this time, the outside of Yu Huiqing is very dangerous. Monsters have also infiltrated the main city. Yu Huiqing's citizens don't dare to go out. Please go to Yu Huiqing's residential area to accept the quest to sweep graves. Seeing the quest prompt, the players immediately spread out and got to work. This event was more of a test of the players' familiarity with the distribution of the main city NPCs. If it were the shops, the class mentors, and other functional NPCs, everyone would know where they were. However, the existence of the resident NPCs was mainly for decoration. Normally, everyone was very busy leveling up and running dungeons. Who would pay attention to these non-functional NPCs? The players who were cramming at the last minute could only use the stupidest method, which was to knock on the door. The players fully displayed the tradition of having milk as a mother. Normally, they would ignore these NPCs, but now they were banging on the door. Uncle, Aunt, open the door. We're here to sweep your graves. Similar shouts could be heard everywhere. However, each resident could only have one ancestral grave. There were hundreds of thousands of players in the city. How many residents were there? This made the situation quite awkward. From time to time, a few players could be seen on the street fighting over who would be the first to go in. The scene was quite lively. What was even more infuriating was that when the players finally defeated their competitors and opened the door to accept the quest, the NPC who had been watching the commotion at the door said something like, "Who are you? I don't even know you. Why should I let you sweep my grave?" This stupid setting made the players curse. Meow, do you need NPC favorability to do an impromptu quest? Therefore, in order to get the NPC to treat them as family and issue quests, these poor guys started to crazily farm favorability. The NPCs had no other abilities, but there were a lot of tricky and strange things. The players who did it complained incessantly. After a whole morning, almost no one received a quest. The forum was full of curses. Although the other players were crying for their parents because of the NPCs, the guys from Chuanjian were doing very well. After all, these guys were very powerful and were Yu Huiqing's tyrants. When they knocked on the door, people would have to stay 10 meters away, afraid that these villains would vent their anger on the players if they could not open the door. Within Chuanjian, there was also a technical exchange. To place one's pride was the first to show off. This kid seemed to be doing well. He was rather arrogant. Speaking of which, have you received any quests? I've already received 4. Let me tell you, as long as your uncles and grandpas call out sweetly, their favorability towards you will increase. TSK. Why are you pretending to have 4? Everyone here doesn't have more favorability than you. To place one's pride sneered at his bragging. You're bragging. This trick of mine is unique. Is there anyone who's faster than me? To place one's pride obviously did not believe it. Hearing this, everyone laughed. Silly kid, when it comes to favorability, no matter how much you say, it's not as fast as giving gold coins. F***CK. How could I have forgotten about that? To place one's pride heard that these animals actually used money to buy favorability. His face was filled with regret and hatred. Damn it, I knew that these NPCs were greedy for money. Didn't I King waste the whole morning? Chapter 956. UB asterisk cheese, you're actually spending money to buy favorability points? Parting AO wasn't the only one who was dumbfounded by the idea of spending money to buy favorability points. Oh? Mingdu, you're going to be a coward too? Everyone mocked. Mingdu had always liked to be a boss. Now that he was willing to be a coward, it was a matter that could tarnish his reputation for the rest of his life. No, I just threatened to kill them if they didn't give me the quest, Mingdu replied. Everyone was speechless when they heard Mingdu's methods. Good, Mingdu was indeed from the town security. You can get quests like this? To place one's pride obviously couldn't understand Mingdu, who was a bandit. Mingdu said disdainfully, I'm already the 8th one. What do you think? F***ck so good? I only got 7. I got 6. I got 8 too. Soon, the exchange of skills became a show-off, especially when Mingdu got 8 quests without spending a single cent. He was obviously a level higher than the others. At this moment, there was no need to mention how proud he was. People tended to get carried away when they were proud. Seeing that everyone was outdone by him, Mingdu shifted his attention to Wang Yu. Where's Old Cow? Iron Ox, how many quests have you completed? Soon, Wang Yu replied, 14. Just these 3 words were enough to stun everyone in Chuanjin. One had to know that players who could receive 3 to 4 quests at the moment were all very good at playing. Even the most shameless people like the Quanjin sect could only receive 8 quests. However, Wang Yu's quests were almost twice as many as theirs. If it was killing monsters or fighting bosses, everyone would definitely be convinced. After all, the longer they stayed with Wang Yu, the more they didn't know how strong Wang Yu was. But now it was just sweeping graves. It had nothing to do with strength. Could it be that this guy had a better trick? Thinking of this, everyone asked, F***ck, what method did you use? I'm the mayor, Wang Yu said. Pfft, sounds of people vomiting blood filled the channel. Very good, very strong. Wang Yu's answer was not only simple but also impeccable. Everyone was convinced, but it couldn't be imitated. But, speaking of this, I noticed something. At this moment, Wang Yu said. What is it? Is it because they found out that they are very respectful to you, the city lord, so they treat you as a family member? Everyone asked with a tone of envy and jealousy. No. Wang Yu said, after sweeping the grave, these NPCs only gave me some willow twigs and told me to plant them in the forest to exchange for experience. Hearing Wang Yu say this, the others also reacted. Indeed, although the Tomb Sweeping Festival quest was difficult to accept, it was very easy to complete. It was nothing more than a resident NPC giving the players a broom and coordinates, and then telling the players to sweep the graves outside the city. After the players finished sweeping the graves, they would be notified that the quest was completed. When they returned to hand in the quest, the NPC would reward the players with a willow twig. The players would plant the willow twigs and receive some experience. Of course, these graves corresponded to the players who had the quest. Only after the players received the quest would the XX Quest Cemetery scene appear in the suburbs. Other players couldn't overstep their boundaries. This quest was a little troublesome, but it wasn't difficult at all. But the rewards were all the same, all willow twigs. The experience that the players received was also related to their level. So far, no one had obtained a cape shard. It couldn't be ruled out that some players liked to play the pig to eat the tiger. They were afraid of getting into trouble because of their wealth, so they hid it. But there were so many people in Chuanjin, and they had completed so many quests, but not a single shard was obtained. This wasn't just a matter of probability. Will there be an automatic reward after completing a certain number of quests? Chun Xiang guessed. According to the usual practice in online games, if probability couldn't solve a problem, it could only be solved with numbers. It can't be. Wuji frowned and said, this quest is very troublesome. How many times do you think an average person can complete this event in 3 days? Well, Hearing Wuji's words, everyone began to ponder. In Yu Huiqing, no one in Xuanzhen dared to stop them. Wang Yu was the city master, and he could run very fast. With such favorable conditions, he had only completed a dozen quests in the morning. One could imagine how troublesome the event quests were. If it were anyone else, they probably wouldn't even be able to complete a dozen quests in 3 days. If the system made it this way, then it was completely toying with the players. In order to make it more entertaining for the players, it was reasonable for the system to make the quests a little more difficult. But at least there had to be something to satisfy their hunger. If there wasn't even a drawing, then wouldn't it be toying with the players? The players definitely wouldn't be happy. The customers were God. Everyone was here to buy some cards and helmets to play the game. Who would be willing to spend money to be toyed with? Could it be that the graveyard quest is just a cover? Is there something fishy going on? At this time, Wang Yu mumbled. Wuji said confidently, "Yes, there must be. Everyone, take a look at the system's quest introduction." Quest introduction. Hearing Wuji's words, everyone immediately opened the quest menu and began to review the question. The Qingming Festival was a festival to worship ancestors and sweep graves. At this time, it was very dangerous outside of Yu Huiqing city. Another monster had infiltrated the main city. Another monster has infiltrated the main city. As expected, everyone quickly discovered the hidden message in the quest. A monster had infiltrated Yu Huiqing city. Seeing this, everyone felt enlightened and understood a little in their hearts. No wonder the resident NPCs in the residential buildings did not trust the players at all. Even if the players knocked on the door, they would only give the quest to play around. It was not a matter of affection, but a monster had infiltrated the city. The game's setting was to not trust the creatures outside the door. The game company was not willing to disclose the quest information before the start of the quest because they were afraid that the players would see through it in advance. As the saying goes, the buyer was not as good as the seller. These bastards were really not good people. Then where is the monster? After realizing this, everyone hurriedly looked around. However, the streets were filled with players, and they didn't see any monsters. Wuji said, "Since the monster can infiltrate the main city, it must have changed into the appearance of an NPC. Of course, you can't see it with the naked eye. Then what do we do?" Everyone asked. "The principle of proximity." Wuji thought for a moment and said, "Start with the NPC that you are most familiar with, especially the NPC that is not in the residential buildings. Everyone, think, is there any NPC that fits these conditions?" "Yes." As soon as Wuji finished speaking, Wang Yu answered, "Hermit." "Hermit? Who's that?" Everyone asked in confusion. As a mentor NPC, Hermit lived like a stray dog and did not like to be disturbed. Therefore, Wang Yu did not mention him much. There were only a few people in Xuanzhen who knew about Hermit. Chapter 957. Old Cow, wait for us. Hearing Wuji's words, everyone started shouting in the channel. Willow Twig had collected enough. Now they all wanted to see what the hidden quest was. Not long after, the Quanjun group arrived at the alley where Hermit was based on the coordinates sent by Wang Yu. Hermit was especially spirited today. However, despite his spirited appearance, he still looked sloppy. He was so dirty that people couldn't help but avoid him. Who is this beggar? Seeing Hermit's appearance, the Quanjun group's eyes widened. They had played the game for so long, but this was the first time they had seen such an unconventional appearance. Wang Yu was familiar with even this kind of NPC. As expected, he had a wide range of friends. "I'm not a beggar." Seeing that everyone thought of him as a beggar, Hermit's expression was a little strange as he casually retorted, "Yes, we know. Take this bread." Girls were kind. Exquisite Dream lowered her head and handed Hermit a stack of bread. At the same time, she placed a bottle of wine on the ground. These things were items to recover health and mana for players. For NPCs, they were things that could really satisfy their hunger. I already said that I'm not a beggar. Do you have money? Give me some. Hermit extended his leg and kicked away the bread and wine. Then, he raised his hand and raised his neck at everyone. This shameless charm was very NPCs. Seeing this, Wang Yu narrowed his eyes and said, "Everyone, step back. I have something to say to teacher." At the same time, Wang Yu sent a message in the channel. As expected, this is fake. Everyone, quickly block the entrance of the alley. How do you know? Everyone asked curiously. The real Hermit is even more shameless than him. Wang Yu and Hermit had known each other for so long, so he was quite familiar with the old man. If it was real, he would definitely eat and drink to his heart's content before asking for money. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. He was even more shameless than this. Just how shameless was he? When Hermit heard Wang Yu's words, he raised his eyelids and said, "If you have something to say it quickly. My time is very valuable." "What do you think this is?" Wang Yu asked as he took out a gold coin and moved it closer. "For me?" Hermit saw the gold coin in Wang Yu's hand and his eyes lit up. "Yes." At this moment, Wang Yu had already walked in front of Hermit. As Wang Yu uttered the word yes, Wang Yu's hand that was holding the gold coin suddenly clenched into a fist. Then, he punched upwards and hit Hermit's chin. "Ah!" Hermit screamed as he was punched into the wall by Wang Yu. Puff! Hermit's body shattered, and a cloud of white smoke rose. The sloppy Hermit from before had turned into a green monster. This monster's body was not much different from the goblins outside the city, but it had a green face and fangs. It looked extremely fierce, and the balding hairstyle on its head made it look even more funny. This thing was still alive and kicking after being punched by Wang Yu. It stepped on the wall and somersaulted, landing on the ground with great agility. Clear Sky Illusion Demon LV50 Special HP 500000 MP 500000 Skills Illusion Quick Attack Talent Deception Background Introduction. Illusion demons are a kind of hell creature. Unwilling to be left out, they took advantage of the Clear Sky Festival to sneak into the city through the sealed door. They are a very cunning monster. GGGG. You despicable guys, how dare you disturb me? Take this. After the illusory demon was exposed by Wang Yu, she immediately flew into a rage out of humiliation. She took out a dagger from her back and stabbed at Wang Yu. Wang Yu took a step back, and just as he was about to punch back, the shameless illusion demon took out a bag of lime powder and scattered it at him. Seeing this, Wang Yu quickly turned his head. Just as Wang Yu turned his head, the illusion demon jumped past Wang Yu, and went straight out of the alley. Unfortunately, the people of Chuanjin had already set up an ambush. Just as the illusion demon ran 2 steps, there was a loud duong sound, and a huge shield blocked the entrance of the alley. Seeing that there was no way out, the illusion demon turned around and ran to the other side, but the other side was also blocked by a dark boundary. At this time, Wang Yu had already caught up to the illusion demon. The illusion demon had no way to escape, so it turned around and stabbed at Wang Yu's head. Wang Yu slightly tilted his head, dodging the illusion demon's attack. The illusion demon took out a bag of lime powder with its other hand, and was about to sprinkle it on Wang Yu's face. However, the same move was useless against Wang Yu. Before the illusory demon's lime powder could scatter, Wang Yu's left hand reached out and grabbed the illusory demon's wrist, pulling him behind his back. His right hand grabbed the hair behind the illusory demon's head, and then fiercely pushed him forward, slamming him against a nearby wall. In the game, the buildings were all European-style stone buildings, which were incomparably hard. Bang! The illusion demon's head came into contact with the wall, and there was a terrifying sound. The health bar on the illusion demon's head suddenly dropped. The pitiful illusion demon screamed and wanted to break free, but even the boss couldn't escape the claws of the demon king Wang Yu. let alone a little thief. No matter how the illusion demon struggled, Wang Yu didn't move an inch. At the same time, his right hand grabbed the back of the illusion demon's head, and he slammed it against the wall. Pring-pring sounds could be heard in the alley. In just a few moves, the illusion demon was stuck to the wall by Wang Yu. F***ck this pervert. Seeing how cruel Wang Yu's methods were, even the Chuanjian players, who were used to seeing Wang Yu abuse the boss, couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. The illusion demon died, and the effects of its illusion gradually faded. Then, it slowly revealed the alley's true appearance. The alley was still dirty and messy, but there was a dirty old man in the corner. The old man lay on the ground, holding a dirty wine bottle in his hand. He was drunk to the point of unconsciousness. Who is this beggar? Everyone was stunned when they saw the old man. He's hermit, not a beggar. Wang Yu said. I know, old Meng, give me some food. Pada! Just as everyone was talking nonsense, a black object fell to the ground under Wang Yu's feet. After Wang Yu bent down and picked up the black thing, an excited smile appeared on her face. What is it? Everyone saw Wang Yu's smile and surrounded him. Wang Yu raised his hand and displayed the black item's attribute. Fighting Heaven's Wings Fragment. Gather 50 fragments to create the rare equipment, Fighting Heaven's Wings. Current progress. F***ck, F***ck. It really dropped a fragment. Seeing the fragment in Wang Yu's hand, everyone exclaimed in surprise. Everyone saw the illusion demon's attributes, and it was only at the level of a normal monster. They didn't think that such a thing would drop a fragment after being killed. It seemed like the drop rate was really high. Chapter 958. However, there were two sides to every coin. Such a high drop rate might not necessarily be a good thing. Wuji reacted quickly and said with a frown, with such a high drop rate, there won't be too many monsters. That makes sense. Everyone nodded. Everyone knew the rarity of cloaks. If every player had a cloak just because of an event, the game company would be in trouble. Therefore, with such a high drop rate, these monsters were likely to be one-time use items. Old man, wake up. To place one's pride heard Wuji's words and tried to talk to Hermit. However, Hermit did not react like before. As expected, Wang Yu had already triggered the fake Hermit plot. Other players could not trigger it again. Yu Huiqing had hundreds of thousands of players, but there were only thousands of resident NPCs. As for those NPCs who did not even have a home, there were even fewer. Players were smart. If they could not get quests from resident NPCs, they would definitely come to the streets to harass these vagrants. That way, there would always be people who would accidentally discover the real method of quest. The more people who knew about it, the more competitive it would be. A cloak required 50 card shards. There were more than 10 people in Chuanjian. Excluding Wang Yu, 500 card shards were not enough. If other players competed with each other, wouldn't a main city's quests be enough for a group of people? Mingdu suggested, let's clear Yu Huiqing's quests quickly. After that, we'll go to other cities to snatch quests. As expected of Mingdu, snatching other people's items was like a natural instinct. The moment he opened his mouth, such an idea came to mind. Wuji said with disdain, every city has people who know how to play. By the time you finish clearing Yu Huiqing's quests, they'll already have a strategy. Then what do you think we should do? Mingdu was not in a good mood after his plan was rejected. Wuji rubbed his chin and said, we have to start from the starting point. We have to make them focus on the resident NPCs and not on the streets. That's easy. Wang Yu said, let's tell them how to do the Willow Branch quest. Then no one will bother with the NPCs on the street. Everyone's eyes lit up. That's a good idea. Wuji said, yup, we'll tell them that they'll encounter a hidden monster after completing the Willow Branch quest 20 times. If they kill the monster, they'll get the shard. Chun Xiang continued, Brother Nyo, take a screenshot of your fragment and post it on the main forum. That way they will be more convinced. Hee, old cow's idea is too despicable. Upon hearing Wuji and Chun Xiang's words, everyone looked at Wang Yu with sinister smiles. Wang Yu broke down. F***ck, my idea wasn't cheap, okay? It was Brother Chun and Wuji who were cheap. It didn't matter if the idea was cheap or not. As long as he could get more fragments, that would be the most effective method. The people from Chuanjin had always been very efficient. Once the plan was laid out, they immediately executed it. Wang Yu and the others had to do the event quest in-game, so they naturally wouldn't go to the forum to spread rumors. However, there were a few people from Chuanjin who didn't participate in the event. Li Shui and the others, Chopper and Mu Zixian, had already found their life goals. They had long since given up on the idea of fighting for power, so they weren't interested in this quest. Moreover, this was the first time these people had participated in Chuanjin's scheme. It was the first time they had done something bad, so they were very excited and fresh. After receiving Wuji's order, they immediately went offline and began to post on various forums. Main forums, regional forums, main city forums. It didn't take long before there were posts from Chuanjin's sock puppets. Shocking. Qingming Festival Cape Quest Guide. Chuanjin's posts were the essence of UC shocking, and the title was very flashy. Things like truth were often held in the hands of a very small number of people. Currently, most players couldn't even accept the Willow Branch quest, so their tempers were naturally very bad. At this time, these people were either asking for a guide on the forum or spamming the game company. However, the game company didn't care about these players' curses. Players who really knew how to do the quest wouldn't share the guide with others. Therefore, when Chuanjin's guide post appeared, it attracted everyone's attention. At first, everyone thought that this was another post that was asking to be scolded, but after clicking into it, they realized that this post wasn't just for fun. In the post, there was a detailed explanation on how to use gold coins to quickly increase the favorability of NPCs, which route would take them outside the city, and even where to plant the willow branch to obtain more rewards. There was also a note at the bottom. Every time the quest was completed 15 to 25 times, a special hidden quest would appear. According to the hidden quest, after defeating the monsters at the specified coordinates, the cloak fragment would be obtained. At the end of the post, there was a screenshot of the cloak fragment. TSK, this is fake. Some of the players were more scheming. After seeing this post, they instinctively thought that it was a complete scam. They knew that no one would find themselves a competitor at this time. It's so detailed, it shouldn't be fake. However, most people felt that this post was more credible because the content of the post was very detailed, and it was very close to the shameless style of the system. A fake guide definitely wouldn't be like this. What's there to argue about? Won't you know once you try? There were also some doers who had nothing to do anyway. After seeing the mission guide, with the mentality that it was better to believe than not, they simply went straight into the game and used their actions to determine the truth. As the saying goes, the highest level of lying is to have the truth in the truth, and the truth in the falsehood. Chuanjin's post, apart from the description that the hidden quest would be received after completing a certain number of times, was fake. The rest of the guide and the fragment screenshots were all true. Naturally, it stood up to the test. When the doers entered the game, they followed the first step of the guide, using gold coins to increase favorability, and quickly received the quest. This discovery made everyone pleasantly surprised. Damn, it really wasn't a scam. This discovery immediately set off a wave, and Chuanjin's post was immediately pinned at the top of the various forums. I received a quest. I received a quest too. Replies like this could be found everywhere. In less than 30 minutes, the post of the guide had surpassed tens of thousands of replies and was quickly pinned at the top of the main forum's homepage. When the players clicked on the game forum, they could immediately see the most popular post. In an instant, almost all the players in the game had learned how to receive the quest from the residential NPCs. With such a huge competition, the most depressed were the players who received the quest at the beginning of the game. Initially, only a few people occupied the quest, but now they were so crowded that they couldn't even enter the NPC's house. Hence, in their hearts, they could not stop cursing the idiot who posted the guide on the forum. You could have just hidden it yourself, why did you have to show off and publicize it? Chapter 959. Although these monsters were weak and only at the level of elite monsters, clearing quests was not an easy task. After all, no one knew if all the NPCs on the street were impersonated by monsters or only some of them. If they were not careful, they would be accused of attacking an NPC and lose their reputation. Therefore, Quan Zhen and the others split up and tried to find NPCs that they were familiar with. However, the people of Chuanzhen did not usually walk the streets and alleys of the city. There were only a few NPCs that they were familiar with. Soon, everyone finished clearing the NPC quests that they were familiar with. Finally, everyone came to a fruit stall. In terms of familiarity, this old man selling fruits was the only NPC that they had talked to on the street other than the few NPCs that they were familiar with. However, the problem came one after another. Quan Zhen and the others had only bought fruits from this stall once. They were not familiar with this old man at all. Oldly, go and flip his stall. Everyone poked Mingdu from behind. Mingdu was most familiar with flipping stalls. Everyone in Chuanzhen added together could not compare to this professional. Mingdu was not stupid. Naturally, he did not dare to go. He shook his head and said, "I'm not going. It's fine to scare him, but if I really flip his stall, I'll die." "Then you go and scare him," everyone said. "What if he tries to scam us?" Mingdu continued to shake his head. It seemed that this kid was not without fear. "Old cow, you go." Even a professional like Mingdu did not dare to go. Everyone could only place their hopes on a more professional. "Why should I go?" Bullying the old was something that even Mingdu did not want to do, so Wang Yu was even more unwilling to do it. "You're the mayor. He can't even ask for money for eating his fruit. If he dares to scam us, you can throw him out of the city to pick up trash, let alone flip his stall," everyone said. Bullsh *T. Wang Yu gave everyone the middle finger. However, when it came to picking up trash, Wang Yu suddenly thought of something and said, "Did you guys notice that these monsters have something in common?" "Yes, from the beginning to the end, they're all green. Does that count?" Chun Xiang asked while rubbing his chin. "Yes, what else?" Wang Yu asked again. Chun Xiang thought about it and said, "Could it be that they forgave the same person?" TSK, what a soul-stirring story. Everyone sighed. Wang Yu was going crazy. "What's the innate skill of the monster you're fighting?" "Talent?" Everyone was stunned. In the end, it was Wuji who had a better memory and replied, "The two monsters I fought both had scavenging talents." The monster I'm fighting seems to be a scavenger too." Hearing Wuji's words, everyone recalled that the monsters they killed all had the same innate skill. "Well, it seems like this is the breakthrough point." Wuji nodded and said, "To place one's pride wondered, breakthrough point? How do I break through?" "Have you forgotten about that scavenger demon you fought not long ago?" Wuji looked at to place one's pride with disdain. He took out a gold coin and threw it at the feet of the old man who was buying fruit. When the old man saw the gold coin, his eyes lit up, and he couldn't help but bend down. "This is fake." Seeing this, everyone shouted in unison. Then, they surrounded the old man excitedly. Before the poor monster could return to its original form, it was easily beaten into white light by everyone. After throwing a piece of the monster to the ground, it left resentfully. With this discovery, the people of Chuanzhen sect no longer had any reservations. They completely let go and once again split up to clean up the city. What kind of NPC was he? If he threw a gold coin in front of them, as long as they bent down to pick it up, it would definitely be a fake. Money was indeed omnipotent. Of course, there were some players who didn't know what was good for them and ran over to pick up the gold coin. However, the people of Chuanjin were ruthless and ruthless. They killed them like they were monsters, so the players could only blame their bad luck. Since the post stated that there would be a hidden quest for killing monsters after a certain number of rounds, it wasn't strange for the players on the streets to see the people of Chuanjin killing monsters on the street. Moreover, they believed the guide written in the post even more. Moreover, the people of Chuanjin sect split up, which created the illusion that many people had received the hidden quest. Someone killed a hidden monster at the entrance of the grocery store. There's one in the south alley too. There's one at the west gate too. As more and more people saw the people of Chuanjin sect killing monsters, the popularity of doing quests increased. Even the players who thought that there was something fishy about the post couldn't help but join the army of doing quests. There were also some players who saw the people of Chuanjin sect killing monsters and wanted to steal some. However, as the ancestors of stealing, the bad guys of Chuanjin sect would naturally teach their juniors a lesson. Chuanjin sect's quest was quite successful. In just half the afternoon, they had almost cleared out the NPCs on the streets in Yuhuiqing. Each of them had also obtained more than 20 pieces. Although it was still far from 50 pieces, this was all the cloak pieces that could be obtained in a main city. This also made everyone feel that the system was a scam. All the cloak pieces in a main city added up to just 300 pieces. If they fused them together, there would only be 6 pieces. Even among the 7 major classes, there wouldn't be enough. Even if they reset once a day, they would only obtain 900 pieces in 3 days. It had to be known that there were hundreds of thousands of people in Yuhuiqing. With this calculation, the chances of gathering enough pieces to make a cloak were actually lower than winning the lottery. As expected, when it came to scamming people, the system was still the most professional of course. For Chuanjin sect's group, the scope of the quest wasn't just a main city like Yuhuiqing. There were 20 main cities in the entire District 7. No matter how efficient they were, they couldn't take care of all of them. Who killed my child? Just as the people of Chuanjin sect finished farming Yuhuiqing's cloak pieces and were about to take the teleportation point to the next main city, a red bolt of lightning suddenly streaked across the sky. Immediately after, a monster emerged from the crack in the sky. The monster roared as it jumped down from the sky and landed at the crossroad of the central street, which was right in front of the teleportation point. The boss has appeared. This was the most central location in Yuhuiqing and also the place where the NPCs gathered. When the busy players saw the monster descending from the sky, they put down their quests and ran to the central street. However, when they ran to the central street, they saw that the boss had already been surrounded by a group of strange-looking players of both men and women. This group of strange-looking players was naturally none other than Wang Yu sect's group, who were closest to the boss. F***CK, which guild is so bold as to want to take the boss for themselves? Are they tired of living? A player who didn't know Chuanjin sect's group could not help but shout when he saw that they had surrounded the boss. It was normal for this person to be surprised. After all, a boss was something that everyone had the right to kill, especially a boss that spawned in a place with a lot of players. Without a certain level of strength, teams that dared to surround it would definitely end up as cannon fodder in the end. A kind-hearted person next to him patted that person's shoulder and reminded him, "Do you see the biggest Grandmaster of Combat?" Grandmaster of Combat? That person glanced at Wang Yu sect's broad shoulders and said in surprise, "Could it be Chuanjin sect?" Chapter 960. So this is Chuanjin. As soon as they heard that the people surrounding the boss were Chuanjin, the surrounding players couldn't help but get excited. Yuhuiqing was a city with hundreds of thousands of people. Every day, there would be old players leaving and new players coming in. Therefore, there were only a few players in the city who knew the people from Chuanjin. The reputation of Chuanjin was mostly based on hearsay. They had never seen the people from Chuanjin in person. In the legends of Yu Huiqing, Chuanjin were a group of godlike existences. Because of this, when the players heard that the boss was fought by Chuanjin, not only did they not leave, but they also stopped in their tracks. This was the strategy of an expert fighting a boss. It was definitely worth watching in person. It was much clearer here than in a video. Soon, the news of the boss falling from the sky and being surrounded by Chuanjin spread throughout Yu Huiqing. Not long after, the crossroads of the central street were completely blocked by players. Some of them came because they saw the boss falling from the sky, while others came because they heard that the Chuanjin sex people had blocked the boss and came to watch. Damn, there are so many people watching me fight a boss. I'm so stressed. Seeing that there were so many onlookers, Ming Do grimaced and said. Everyone was puzzled. With so many people watching, you should have more fighting spirit. Occupational disease, occupational disease. Mingdu said as he looked at the boss again. This boss that fell from the sky looked almost the same as the illusory demon that they had killed before. It was also green and had the same ferocious appearance. The only difference was that the illusory demon was more than 3 meters tall. The dagger in its hand was as large as the two-handed sword of a warrior. It was much fiercer than the illusory demons that they had killed. Adult Illusory Demon Level 55. Special, HP. 5000000 MP. 5000000 Skills. Great Grab, Dagger Quick Attack, Illusion. Talent. Tier Space Background Introduction. Adult illusory demons have the ability to tier space. Their strength is unfathomable. It seemed that adult illusory demons were richer, and their talent had changed from scavenging to space tearing. Spatial magic was different from ordinary magic. Any NPC that knew how to use spatial magic was a terrifying existence. Shifeng hadn't expected an adult illusory demon to possess such an ability. Was it you despicable bastards who killed my child? The illusory demon wildly swung his arms and pounded his chest as he roared at the Quanzhen people with incomparable rage. Would you believe me if I said no? Wuji asked. I don't believe you. The illusory demon roared. Then why are you still talking? Kill him. Wuji was a firm believer in the saying of striking first, gaining the upper hand. Taking advantage of the fact that the illusory demon was still there, he gave the order. Yin Lao Air raised his giant shield. At the same time, Exquisite Dream and Yang Na knocked their arrows. 6 arrows flew towards the illusory demon. The 3 arrows were shot by Yang Na. They were aimed at the illusory demon's eyes and throat. The attack power was very strong. The 3 arrows below were shot by Exquisite Dream. They were aimed at the illusory demon's shadow, mainly to control its movements. However, the illusory demon seemed to know Exquisite Dream's intentions. It casually blocked Yang Na's 3 arrows with its dagger. At the same time, it took a step forward, and Exquisite Dream's arrow coincidentally landed on the illusory demon's foot. Shadowbind arrow's damage was not high. Moreover, it was only effective when it hit a shadow. Exquisite Dream's arrow did not have the slightest effect. At this moment, Mingdu's violent thunder spell finished chanting. A huge lightning bolt as thick as a bucket descended from the sky, smashing towards the illusory demon's head. The illusory demon waved its empty left hand towards the sky. A terrifying crack appeared above its head, and Mingdu's violent thunder spell was directly swallowed up. Damn, what kind of lousy skill is this? Someone shouted. The illusory demon's skill was so overpowered that everyone's hair stood on end. It could casually slice open space and devour an attack. Could this be the legendary Void Shattering? The Quanzhen players were also shocked. Meow, this was only a level 55 boss. Why did it look like it was even more difficult to deal with than a level 100 boss? After dispelling Mingdu's attack, the illusory demon did not remain idle. Its dagger rushed towards the Quanzhen players. Although the weapon in the illusory demon's hand was called a dagger, It was actually heavier than a warrior's two-handed sword. However, in the hands of the illusory demon, it was like a light toy. Wuji waved his staff, and an invincibility skill appeared above Yin Lao Er's head. Yin Lao Er raised the shield in his hand and collided head-on with the illusory demon's dagger. Boom! The illusory demon's dagger smashed onto Yin Lao Er's shield, producing a deafening roar. Even though Yin Lao Er had an invincibility skill, he was still smashed back a few steps. There were still a few seconds of invincibility left. Yin Lao Er naturally would not retreat. He had just steadied himself, lowered his head, raised his shield, and rushed to the feet of the illusory demon. The illusory demon did not even look at Yin Lao Er. It extended its hand, grabbed Yin Lao Er, and threw him away. The illusory demon's strength was incomparably great. Yin Lao Er was thrown dozens of meters away. Yin Lao Er landed heavily on the ground, rolling far away and crashing into the crowd of onlookers before stopping. Seeing Yin Lao Er's miserable state, the onlookers could not help but sigh. Fortunately, this fellow had thick skin and thick flesh. He also had the protection of Wuji's skills. Otherwise, if it were someone weaker, they might have been thrown half to death by the boss. After throwing Yin Lao Er away, the illusory demon pounced towards the crowd again. At this moment, a dark barrier rose from beneath the illusory demon's feet. The illusory demon swayed slightly from the sudden control. Then, it exerted force with its feet. Crash! The dark barrier shattered. The HP bar above Chun Xiang's head dropped by a chunk, and the words, "Skill Backlash," appeared. Fortunately, Chun Xiang had quite a few underlings. Without any explanation, they all surrounded the illusory demon. Roar! The illusory demon roared. It waved its left hand again, tearing open another spatial crack. Chun Xiang's underlings were all cut in half at the waist. F***ck, it can even be used to attack? What kind of cruel skill is this? Seeing this scene, even Wang Yu and the others were shocked. Spatial magic was simply too overpowered. Not only could it devour attacks, it could also be used to attack a target. There was probably no godly weapon in the world that could be more destructive than this skill. A boss with spatial magic was truly not something that current players could contend against. Sigh, a spatial boss. It seems that even Xuanzhen will be defeated this time. Seeing the illusory demon's skill so crazy, the onlookers couldn't help but shake their heads. No matter how low the illusory demon's level was, it was still an active boss. It was meant for all the players in the city to fight. It was indeed difficult for Xuanzhen's team to defeat it. However, the onlookers didn't think that Xuanzhen was useless. After all, this was a boss with spatial magic. As a top-tier NPC, magic was basically impeccable in both attack and defense. It was normal for Xuanzhen's team to not be able to defeat this boss. This kind of boss required a lot of players. At this time, Blood Red War Flag sent a message to Wuji. Chapter 961. Actually, Illusory Demon only had 5 million HP. If they piled on top of it, Blood Alliance had tens of thousands of people. Each person only needed to deal 500 damage to Illusory Demon. Although it wasn't as easy as it sounded, it was still a solution. It was better than letting Xuanzhen's group just stand there and get beaten up. However, Xuanzhen's group had always been protective of their food. They wanted to kick other people's bosses, but how could they let others touch their own boss? Even if Blood Red War Flag had good intentions, Wuji, who received Blood Red War Flag, only replied indifferently, "No need." In the time it took to say this, Illusory Demon once again attacked Xuanzhen's group and threw the replacement, Bao San, away. Seeing this scene, the surrounding players only had one thought. Xuanzhen probably couldn't make it this time. Xuanzhen's PvP skills were publicly acknowledged. However, there was a huge difference between PvE and PvP. The essence of PvE was to tank the monsters. As long as they could pull the aggro of the monsters and let the players behind them deal damage, the boss was basically dead. However, this boss could use spatial magic. Its attack power could instantly kill anyone. Even a strong tank would only last 1 second in front of it. What was even more terrifying was that illusory demon had a very disgusting grab skill. Even with invincibility, it could casually throw a tank to the side. A tank wouldn't even be able to block its path. To deal with such a shameless boss, one had to rely on numbers. After all, it was a main city boss. In the end, players had to use their lives to kill it. Thinking up to this point, all the players stared at Chuanjin's group and said to their companions, "Look for an opportunity to snatch the boss." It was a main city boss. The drop mechanism was different from normal bosses. It was public. As long as they participated in the attack, they had a chance to obtain the reward. Wang Yu and the others knew what the surrounding players were thinking. At this moment, the pressure was even greater. Wuji, who had rejected blood-red war, turned his head and asked Wang Yu, "What do you think? If we can't do it, we'll retreat first and come back later." The boss's first attack was taken by Chuanjin. Later on, Chuanjin would naturally have the authority to obtain the loot. Stealing someone else's kill wasn't a bad idea. Of course, with so many players present, whether or not he could snatch it aside, even if he could snatch it, it would be better to keep it to himself. If not for the fact that he could not win, Wuji would not have considered this method. "Brother Chun, be careful." As soon as Wuji finished speaking, and before anyone could vote, Wang Yu shouted and rushed forward. When Wuji heard this, he immediately turned his head, only to see that the illusory demon had unknowingly broken through Chun Xiang's defense line. Mingdu and the two archers immediately formed a long-range defensive line and rushed in front of Chun Xiang, stabbing their daggers towards Chun Xiang's chest. In the end, Chun Xiang wasn't a tank class. He definitely wouldn't be able to withstand this attack. And Wang Yu was too far away from Chun Xiang. Although he had already rushed forward, no matter how fast he ran, how could he be faster than the boss's dagger? Seeing that the dagger was about to stab into Chun Xiang's chest, Chun Xiang suddenly turned into a mist and dodged the illusory demon's attack. Ga. Seeing that Chun Xiang wanted to run, the illusory demon let out a strange cry and stretched out its shining left hand towards Chun Xiang. "It's going to use spatial magic again." Seeing the illusory demon's left hand, the surrounding players' hearts thumped. Everyone had seen the power of this spatial magic with their own eyes. Chun Xiang, who had turned into mist, had a slow movement speed. They were afraid that he would definitely die. However, at this moment, Wang Yu had already rushed in front of the illusory demon with a long staff in hand. The end of the staff struck down, hitting the illusory demon's knee. Wang Yu took the opportunity to jump up and kicked the illusory demon's throat. Zila! A flash of lightning flashed. The illusory demon was indeed a boss. With such a high priority like Thunder Stomp, it was only kicked back a little. However, because it was pushed back, the illusory demon's left hand that was reaching towards Chun Xiang was forced to deviate. Thus, it smoothly extended towards Wang Yu's body. Wang Yu lowered his body and dodged the attack. Then, he continuously jumped back a few times and jumped out of the illusory demon's attack range. "This thing is very strange. If it touches me, even if I don't die, I'll be crippled." Chun Xiang had already turned back into his human form and said with lingering fear. It seemed that being scared by the boss just now had left a shadow in Chun Xiang's heart. Thinking about it, the feeling of being torn in half by space and being cut in half by a sword was definitely completely different. "Easy." Hearing Chun Xiang's words, Wang Yu smiled and said, "Since touching it means dying, then as long as it doesn't touch it, it'll be fine. I'll tank it, you guys prepare to support the damage output." After saying that, Wang Yu once again raised his long staff and rushed in front of the boss. Wang Yu was Chuanjin's spiritual pillar. Seeing Wang Yu rush forward, Wuji immediately gave the order for the others to attack. Immediately, everyone in Chuanjin, even a tank like Yin Lao Air, changed into a damage output equipment. They raised their greatswords and rushed behind Wang Yu. Seeing that Xuanzhen's group had suddenly started attacking, the surrounding players were dumbfounded. D*MN. That Grandmaster of Combat is Guru Iron Ox, right? Are they going to let a Grandmaster of Combat tank this boss? Grandmasters of Combat being a tank was considered a trend in the game, especially for Yu Huiqing. However, this boss could not even be tanked by a true tank, so it was indeed an unbelievable thing for a half-baked tank to tank it. Of course, Wang Yu was the kind of person who could make all the players feel that it was unbelievable at all times. Illusory Demon saw that the guy who had just kicked it still dared to come in front of it with his staff to provoke it. Without saying a word, it waved its dagger and slashed at Wang Yu. Seeing this, Wang Yu smiled and took half a step back. He raised his staff and used one end to block the aggressive dagger. At the same time, Wang Yu used his body as an axis. Since the staff could not support itself, the other end borrowed the strength of the dagger and stabbed right under Illusory Demon's armpit. 55477A damage number floated above Illusory Demon's head. The health bar above Illusory Demon's head clearly dropped. Roar! Being stabbed in the soft spot, Illusory Demon cried out in pain and kicked its large foot directly at Wang Yu. Wang Yu dodged to Illusory Demon's side and stabbed the staff forward, stabbing Illusory Demon's foot. Illusory Demon, who had been stabbed in the foot, instinctively raised its foot. Who knew that Wang Yu had already anticipated this? Seeing Illusory Demon raise its foot, he suddenly took a step forward and lightly pulled the staff in Illusory Demon's direction. The other end of the staff, as if it had eyes, stabbed Illusory Demon's abdomen. 77487 Another critical hit. Illusory Demon's health bar dropped again. The players who were originally waiting to take advantage of the situation saw this scene, and their eyeballs almost popped out. This is the strength of Guru Iron Ox? P.S. Hello everyone, did you think that today was over? I am not that kind of person. Chapter 962. These people from Xuanzhen were all experts who had been famous for a long time. In Rebirth, they had created all kinds of big news. Not to mention their skill level, just the equipment on them was the configuration of a top expert. Even experts of Xuanzhen's level were not a match for Illusory Demon. It was enough to show how difficult it was to deal with. However, such a difficult boss was effortlessly taken down by Wang Yu to 100,000 HP. The players could not believe their eyes. The players of Yu Huiqing had heard of many of Wang Yu's deeds. Under everyone's exaggerated rumors, Wang Yu had long been said to be a ruthless person who could fight 10,000 alone. However, no one was stupid. Faced with such a legend, no one would believe it. At most, they would just laugh. After all, as the most popular game in the world, Rebirth's balance was quite reasonable. How could there be such an unbalanced situation where one player could fight 10,000? However, after seeing Wang Yu today, everyone finally understood why there would be people who would make a mere Grandmaster of Combat so amazing. Wang Yu's reputation was well deserved. There were even people who felt that the rumors had weakened Wang Yu. Illusory Demon's intelligence seemed to be not low. After suffering 2 consecutive losses under Wang Yu's hands, it immediately changed its attack method. It no longer tried to attack Wang Yu. Instead, it stretched out its long arm and reached out to grab Wang Yu. Wang Yu was no stranger to Illusory Demon's grabbing skill. Even a strong tank like Yin Lao Air could not withstand it. Naturally, Wang Yu would not take it head-on. Seeing Illusory Demon's claws coming over, Wang Yu turned his feet and dodged to the side. Illusory Demon obviously did not expect Wang Yu to dodge so well. It was slightly stunned at first, then its other hand followed to grab him. Although Illusory Demon's body was large, its speed was not slow at all. Both of its hands struck out consecutively, only shadows could be seen. However, it was true that the Illusory Demon's speed was fast, But this demon's body was rather large, and the gap was also large. Every time she attacked, a large gap would appear. Wang Yu used his movement technique, twisting and turning. No matter how the illusory demon tried to grab him, Wang Yu would always be able to dodge through the gap between the illusory demon's arms before it could grab him. The illusory demon's attacks were ferocious, but Wang Yu waited at ease. They watched as Wang Yu leisurely strolled around, toying with the illusory demon until it jumped up and down. No matter how they attacked, they could not even touch a corner of Wang Yu. The spectators were all dumbfounded. Even the people from Chuanjin, who were used to seeing Wang Yu's freakishness, couldn't help but curl their lips and say, "Damn, this guy is indeed strong without a limit." Yang Na could not help but sigh. The Yang clan's 7 steps of the Star Dipper could be considered the Yang clan's signature technique, but in the entire Yang clan, there was no expert who could use the 7 steps of the Star Dipper to such perfection like Wang Yu. No wonder the old man of her family wanted to marry her into the Wang clan. This guy's talent was simply a gift from the heavens. After exchanging more than 10 moves, the illusory demon finally realized that the person in front of it was difficult to deal with. It simply turned around and wanted to jump over Wang Yu to attack others. As the team's tank, how could Wang Yu let it do as it wished? Without waiting for the illusory demon to move, Wang Yu stretched out both of his hands and grabbed onto the illusory demon. He tried to trip it with his feet and knocked it to the ground. Seeing that Wang Yu had knocked the illusory demon to the ground, the people from Chuanjin let out a long sigh of relief. As expected, all bosses were the same in Wang Yu's hands. He could do whatever he wanted. With Wang Yu holding the illusory demon back, the other people had no pressure on them at all. They split up and began to attack the illusory demon inhumanely. The illusory demon tried to break free from Wang Yu's aggro a few times, but as a tank, Wang Yu naturally had to firmly make the target hate him like sticky candy. If the target didn't compromise, then he could only stick to the target like sticky candy. It had to be said that as a warrior, Wang Yu fully displayed the essence of ancient martial arts. No matter how the illusory demon struggled, it was as if Wang Yu was stuck to the illusory demon's body, making it unable to fight or hide. With a tank like Wang Yu holding the illusory demon back, the other people of Chuanjin naturally didn't have to worry about their attacks. Under everyone's desperate attacks, the illusory demon's originally not very thick health bar quickly fell to 30%. At this moment, the illusory demon's body suddenly burst forth with a green light. It went berserk. Wang Yu was also quite experienced in dealing with bosses. Seeing the illusory demon go berserk, his figure flashed 5 meters away, dodging the boss's green light attack. After a few seconds, the boss finished going berserk. The green shield gradually dissipated, and the illusory demon once again revealed itself. After going berserk, the illusory demon didn't have the brainless appearance of the other bosses. Not only that, but its appearance was actually a lot thinner than before. Its height had also become the size of a normal person, and the dagger on the phone had also become a black and swarthy staff. Shameless humans, receive the wrath of hell. The green light dissipated, and the angry illusory demon raised the staff in its hand and roared. Suddenly, a strong wind blew, and the originally gloomy and rainy sky instantly darkened. In just a few seconds, the entire city was plunged into darkness. Everyone in the sky hurriedly looked up, only to see the sky covered in dark clouds. The clouds rolled, and blue lightning was even more frightening. The situation was out of control because of Chuanjin. The surrounding players naturally didn't want to clean up their mess, and they also didn't want to be caught in the crossfire, so they turned around to leave this troublesome place. However, just as everyone was about to leave, lightning fell from the clouds like rain, and all the players who wanted to turn around and leave were all blasted into white light. Everyone was immediately stunned. This is using the power of heaven and earth. Seeing this scene, the people from Chuanjin were knowledgeable, and they immediately cried out in surprise. Everyone had seen using the power of heaven and earth before. Back in the Atlanta City Instance dungeon, Master Renault had performed this move. Just a single lightning spell had caused the sky to change color, and its power was boundless. However, Master Renault was a legendary level 200 god boss, and he had mastered the power of the elements and the law of space. Doing this was not unusual. The illusory demon was only a level 50 special boss, and it was far weaker than Master Renault. How could it have such powerful strength? Moreover, the illusory demon's ostentation was even more powerful than Master Renault's. At that time, Renault had only caused the weather to change, but this lush green guy had directly turned day into night. Too arrogant. Don't be afraid, everyone attacked together. Wuji knew that even Wang Yu wouldn't be able to deal with such a powerful boss, so he threw out a ball of holy light, which illuminated the sky, and invited the surrounding spectators to attack. However, when the holy light rose and illuminated the surroundings, Wuji was immediately stunned. Damn, apart from Chuanjin's group, there were no longer any players on the street. Instead, there was a dense crowd of monsters. These monsters had green skin, green faces, and fangs. They were the illusory demons that had been farmed in the city. Damn, how did it become like this? Wuji was so shocked that he was about to say something. With a loud boom, a huge red meteor fell from the sky, smashing Wuji's holy light. Chapter 963. F***CK. Meteor Spell. Seeing the meteorites in the sky, Mingdu's hair stood on end. Meteor Spell was a magician's ultimate level, 100 skill, summoning meteorites to attack the target. It was a forbidden spell skill. Needless to say about its power, a forbidden spell skill was equivalent to a nuclear deterrent. Not only did it cause huge damage to the target, but the caster also suffered a lot. Even those who had mastered forbidden spell skills did not dare to use it casually. Not only did the illusory demon use a forbidden spell, but it was also just a holy light spell. This was no different from using a nuclear weapon to catch a thief. The most terrifying thing was that the illusory demon used the forbidden spell casually. Its face was full of ease. Such a casual performance was much more tyrannical than a god-tier boss like Reynolds. It was practically a god. Kill, kill. Just as everyone was shocked by the illusory demon's strength, the surrounding ordinary illusory demons shouted and charged over. They did not know whether it was because there were too many illusory demons or something else, but it was a mess when they rushed forward. These green fellows were wrestling with each other. Why the F***CK are they fighting each other? Looking at the surrounding ordinary illusory demons that were attacking each other, the Quan Zhen people were confused. Strange. This is too strange. Wuji thought and said, I keep feeling that something is wrong. What exactly is wrong? Who cares what's wrong? I'm going to take care of him. Wang Yu clenched his fists and was about to rush over without fear. Seeing this, the Quan Zhen people were envious. It was good to have strength. He dared to do anything. He did not even care about a god-tier boss. However, even though everyone knew that Wang Yu's strength was unfathomable, they did not think that Wang Yu could really defeat the illusory demon. After all, a boss that could casually use forbidden spell was a top-tier existence in the game. If Wang Yu could kill a god at this level, there was no point in playing the game. Therefore, everyone stopped him. Old cow, don't go. This thing is too strong. It's not something we can deal with. Too strong. Yes, he's too strong. Hearing everyone's words, Wuji seemed to have thought of something and suddenly shouted. Is Wuji scared out of his wits? Everyone asked curiously when they saw Wuji's expression. Crazy your sister's husband. Don't you think that this illusory demon is too strong? Nonsense. Everyone curled their lips. It was just a mission, but he had even summoned a god-tier monster. Not only was he strong, he was practically cheating. Don't you think it's strange that a level 50 boss is stronger than a god-ranked NPC? Wuji asked. This, with Wuji's reminder, everyone was stunned and immediately reacted. Meow, wasn't it just an event, boss? Even a celestial NPC had appeared. This was clearly unrealistic. Making an event that players couldn't even play, the game company was playing with fire. Is this thing fake? Thinking of this, everyone said in unison. That's right. It must be fake. It's Illusory Demon's illusion. Wuji said with certainty. Illusory Demon was mainly based on the word illusion. There was no other explanation for this scene other than an illusion. As expected, just as Wuji finished speaking, a system notification appeared in the party channel. System notification. Someone in your party has seen through Illusory Demon's illusion. Illusion dispelled. Whoosh, a white light flashed, and the pitch-black scene peeled away bit by bit, revealing the originally gloomy and rainy sky. The buildings that were riddled with holes from the Illusory Demon's thunderbolts and meteors had also returned to their original state. On the central street, the players of the various large guilds were currently slaughtering each other. Not far from them, a green creature about a meter in size was currently jumping up and down with a wooden stick in its hand. It was the berserk Illusory Demon. F***ck. This liar. Seeing this wretched fellow, the people of Chuanjin were infuriated. Just now, they had almost pissed their pants because of this wretched fellow. Without another word, everyone angrily surrounded it. At this time, Illusory Demon still did not know that its illusion had been seen through. It was still holding its wooden stick and pretending to be a ghost. Seeing Chuanjin walk over, it still raised its staff to act cool. Stars rage. Exploding heavenly stars. Overlord burp. Before Illusory Demon could say the name of its final forbidden spell, Wang Yu had already rushed in front of it and grabbed its neck. After transforming, Illusory Demon clearly only had the ability to use its mouth. Wang Yu directly lifted it up by the throat. When everyone arrived, they surrounded Illusory Demon and gave it a beating. In an instant, Illusory Demon's health bar was emptied. I will never forgive you. The lecherous Illusory Demon threw down these words and turned into a white light. Before dying, it threw down a box. System notification. Yu Huiqing players, under the leadership of Master Yu Huiqing, have finally eliminated the monster leader, Adult Illusory Demon. All players in Yu Huiqing have obtained one class Cape Shard. Their heroic deeds will be recorded in the annals of history. What's going on? Once Illusory Demon died, the illusion disappeared. All the players regained their senses and stopped attacking others. However, when they heard the system notification, they were dumbfounded. Damn, they still did not know what was going on. They actually won without doing anything, and it was a victory for the entire city. All the players in Yu Huiqing looked at the Cape Shard in their bags and did not know what to say. At the same time as the system notification appeared, Wang Yu also received a system notification. Yu Huiqing's Master Iron Ox led his people to defeat Adult Illusory Demon. Reputation plus 1000, Honor plus 100, Experience plus, and various other rewards. As Yu Huiqing's master and the main force in killing Adult Illusory Demon, Wang Yu gave a lot of experience. Wang Yu's experience bar was almost full. He was only a little bit away from reaching level 50. Chuanjin's group also benefited greatly from this. They received a lot of experience and honor. However, they did not care about these things. What they cared about was the box in Wang Yu's hands. Old cow, open it and see what's in it. Under everyone's instigation, Wang Yu casually opened the box that Illusory Demon had thrown out. Notification: you have received Universal Cape Shard X50. Universal Cape Shard can be used to replenish the Cape Shard of any profession. Damn, this is good. Seeing the shard in Wang Yu's hands, everyone cried out in surprise. There were a total of 7 Cape Shards. They were all different. The shards that everyone received from quests were also random. There were very few quests to begin with. If the shards were not for the profession, it would be even harder to collect a set of cape shards. In the end, they could only exchange it with other players. Universal cape shards were different. This thing could be used to exchange for the cape of any profession. It saved players a lot of trouble. Its value did not need to be mentioned. Who would have thought that the final illusory demon boss would give such a thing? The system did not cheat. It was rare for it to be honest. Chapter 964. From the start of the event, all of Yu Huiqing's illusory demons had been taken down by Chuanjin. There were 300 normal illusory demons in the city, plus the illusory demon boss, so there were exactly 350 shards, which could be exchanged for a total of 7 cloak. It seemed that each city could only produce 7 shards per day. With hundreds of thousands of players, 7 wasn't much. As for the fact that every player received a shard after the illusory demon boss died, that was because Yu Huiqing's illusory demon boss was killed under the leadership of the city lord. Out of the 300 cities in the game, only Yu Huiqing's city lord was a player. The other cities didn't have this benefit. Chuanjin didn't have many players, but a mere 350 shards was far from enough. After clearing out Yu Huiqing's illusory demon, Wang Yu and the others began to clear out the surrounding cities. It had only been 7 to 8 hours since the event started. Li Shui and the others had posted on the forums to confuse the public. All the players were busy doing quests, so no one had bothered the NPCs on the streets yet. The operation of the Quan Jin sex group could be said to be quite smooth. Even so, the quest wasn't easy. Finding 300 NPCs in an unfamiliar city was no easier than fighting a boss. Chuanjin's group worked until midnight, when they finally cleared all the quests in the 4 cities. They only stopped after Wang Yu went to sleep. As for why Wang Yu went to sleep, the reason was simple. Without Wang Yu, they couldn't beat the boss. Wang Yu was a man with a wife. They couldn't possibly let Wang Yu fight the boss with everyone else without sleeping. She might die the next day. Before 8 o'clock, Wang Yu went online. After going online, Wang Yu found a few players hiding in Old Hermit's Alley. Huh? What's going on? Are there people waiting for NPCs on the streets? Wang Yu asked in the guild channel. Wuji said, "That's normal. We're not fools. It's already not bad that our method could last for a day." Indeed, paper could not contain fire. No matter how effective Chuanjin's method of confusing the public was, it would eventually be exposed. After all, the Willow Branch quests were indeed time-consuming, but dozens of quests would not take too long. After completing dozens of quests without triggering any hidden quests, the players finally understood that they had been fooled by the so-called strategy posts on the forum. Hence, they began to look for other breakthrough points. There were still many capable players, so it was reasonable for them to be able to find the bodies of the NPCs on the street. Yu Huiqing's monsters had already been cleared out yesterday, and there were probably even more in other main cities. Are we still going to farm it today? Wang Yu glanced at the time. There were only 5 minutes left before 8 o'clock. After 8 o'clock, the quest would be reset. If everyone knew how to complete the quest, it would not be easy to complete today's quest. Of course, Chuanjin's players were not afraid. They had farmed all the shards in 4 main cities in one day. Now, everyone could be equipped with a cape. It did not matter whether they farmed it or not. Wuji said, "Of course we'll farm it. After this event, the shards will definitely be worth a lot of money. If we don't pick them up, we'll lose them." Wuji's words were not wrong. The flying effect of the cape was indeed very tempting. The production limit for each main city was only 350 shards. If such a rare item was hyped up by the unscrupulous studio, it would probably be more expensive than equipment. It was definitely not a bad thing to farm a little more. Then we can only wait for the boss now, Wang Yu said. At this time, most of the NPCs on the streets had already been surrounded by players. Although Chuanjin's players were tyrannical, they were still people who cared about their reputation. In Yu Huiqing, they could not openly steal monsters. It's fine. We can do this and this. Wuji smiled as he sent a message to Wang Yu. That works. Wang Yu saw Wuji's message and was a little confused. Wuji laughed and said, "Of course it works. What do you want? Everyone can decide for themselves." Alright. Wang Yu thought about it and decided to believe Wuji's words. Just as the event was about to reset, an announcement suddenly sounded in the sky above Yu Huiqing. Castellan announcement. The NPCs on the streets have been taken over by Chuanjin. Everyone, do not trigger the quest. TSK. Seeing the Castellan's announcement, the players in Yu Huiqing rolled their eyes. Although Chuanjin was famous in Yu Huiqing, no matter how powerful Chuanjin was, they were not so powerful that they could monopolize the entire event quest. If Chuanjin did not allow them to trigger the quest, they would not be able to do so. How embarrassing would that be? Naturally, the people in Chuanjin were not so confident that they could order everyone in the city. There were hundreds of thousands of players. If someone really secretly triggered the quest, no matter how powerful the people in Chuanjin were, they would not know where to look. At this moment, another announcement floated up. Castellan announcement. If Chuanjin cannot gather 300 shards, the Castellan will not start the boss. F***CK. This is too shameless. Seeing the second announcement, the players in Yu Huiqing almost jumped up in anger. Meow, if everyone snorted at the first announcement, then the players in Yu Huiqing would have to think twice about the second announcement. The reason why the players in Yu Huiqing were able to obtain a cloak shard was because the Castellan, Wang Yu, had led the team to kill the illusory demon boss. If Chuanjin did not act today, even if everyone could rely on their numbers to kill the boss, the entire main city would only have a total of 350 cloak shards. 350 cloak shards were worth hundreds of thousands of points. Only a very small number of people could obtain them. However, if Chuanjin acted, there would be hundreds of thousands of cloak shards. Everyone would have a cloak shard. Especially for the guild players, letting Chuanjin kill the boss was extremely important. One had to know that a guild had a total of 500 people. There was no need to talk about the guilds allied with Blood Alliance or Sword Points at the Heavens. The more players there were, the greater the profit. This way, whoever dared to go against Chuanjin would be going against all of Yu Huiqing's guilds. To safely obtain a cloak shard or to risk being chased by all the players in the city to obtain a cloak shard. As long as one wasn't an idiot, they wouldn't make the wrong choice. After seeing the announcement, the players in Yu Huiqing obediently gave up on the idea of coveting the NPCs on the streets and continued to do the Willow Branch quests. As for the players from those guilds, they even sent people to surround the NPCs on the streets, waiting for the players in Chuanjin to harvest them. Everything was so harmonious. In other main cities, such a strange situation definitely wouldn't occur. A great man once said, "Those who win the hearts of the people will win the world." Chuanjin had such a strong foundation of people, so they completed their quests quickly. In just over an hour of harvesting, all 300 of Yu Huiqing's illusory demons were taken by Chuanjin. The illusory demon boss was like yesterday, tearing through space and descending from the sky. With Wang Yu around, everyone was naturally familiar with dealing with the illusory demon boss. Everyone repeated the same trick, pinning down the illusory demon and giving it a beating. Chapter 965. Fragmented quests were like leaks that could be reset every day. After collecting Yu Huiqing's quests, Wang Yu and the others didn't idle around. They immediately teleported to Thorn City. Thorn City was no different from Yu Huiqing's. Players were now wandering the streets, looking for NPCs. However, there were many NPCs on the streets, and only 300 of them had quests. Since they didn't know about the illusory demon's scavenging ability, the efficiency of Thorn City's players was much lower than Chuanjin's. The event had been reset for almost 2 hours, but the illusory demon boss still hadn't appeared. If the illusory demon boss hadn't appeared, it meant that the 300 quests hadn't been cleared. Compared to the scattered players of Thorn City, Wang Yu's group was much more professional. Last night, Chuanzhen's group had marked the coordinates of all the NPCs on the streets of Thorn City. Today, everyone went straight to the point. Since Chuanzhen's group had their own unique methods, they didn't have to worry about killing the wrong person. As a result, they didn't have to go through many steps to find NPCs. Their efficiency was absolutely stunning. It didn't take long before almost every player in Thorn City learned of the existence of such a secretive team that specialized in hunting down questing NPCs. Every NPC that this team targeted was actually an illusory demon with a quest. This was the age of the internet, especially in a virtual world where communication was more advanced than in the real world. Once this news spread, it spread like wildfire. Before Wang Yu's group could finish clearing Thorn City's quests, this news had already spread throughout the game. There were even videos and photos of Chuanzhen's group on the forums. In order to make a profit, the publishers of these videos and photos had deliberately censored them and labeled them paid HD. The official forum account could be tied to the game account, so the currency was the same. Photos and other resources could be sent directly to the buyer's in-game account. It had to be said that in order to make money, players could come up with all sorts of ideas. Perhaps these people didn't know that their actions of profiting off other people's portraits had already broken the law. Although the price wasn't high, only a few dozen gold, most players still scoffed at it. However, there were also people who were very interested. For example, some of the leaders of large guilds were not lacking in money. After the post was posted on the forums, many guild leaders bought these photos and posted them in the guild channel. Everyone, pay attention to your surroundings and see if there's anyone like that around you. If you can provide any clues, you'll be rewarded with XX gold. If you can provide their contact information, you'll be rewarded with XX gold. If you can pull them into the guild, you'll be rewarded with XX gold. Similar messages flooded the various guild channels. The reason why the various large guilds were so frantic wasn't because of how powerful Chuanzhen's team was, but because of the strategies they possessed. As mentioned before, there was no doubt that cloaks were precious and rare. However, the number of NPCs in each main city was not a small number. Even if the NPCs in the residences were excluded, there were still thousands of NPCs on the street. With 300 quest NPCs thrown into these NPCs, the players would only get it right once in 10 tries. Unfortunately, the penalty for attacking resident NPCs was simply too frightening. Although this 10% chance seemed much higher than winning the lottery, it was a price no one wanted to pay. If they could find these legendary players, the quest's efficiency and success rate would be unimaginable. Compared to the cloak fragment, a few dozen gold was nothing. However, Chuanzhen's team, who were desperately running quests, had no idea that they had already been targeted by so many guilds. In a dark alley on Thorn City's Thorn Road, Mingdu used Thunderstorm to blast the illusory demon before him into smithereens. The illusion disappeared, and the cloak fragment fell to the ground. Mingdu walked up to it. Just as he was about to pick up the fragment, an assassin suddenly rushed out from a dark corner of the alley with a dagger in hand, aiming for his back. Just as the assassin stabbed Mingdu's back, a muffled sound rang out. Flames flashed across Mingdu's body, and the assassin was pushed into a wall. Resist. Resist ring of fire? The assassin was quite discerning. He immediately recognized Mingdu's skill and couldn't help but reveal a look of surprise. Resist Ring of Fire was a rare fire defense skill for mages. It could instantly make a target close to them retreat 500 meters away. However, although it was a rare skill, ordinary mages rarely practiced it. After all, mages pursued unparalleled damage output. Rough work like defense was usually left to others. Of course, if this skill appeared on other mages, it might be strange. However, it was not so surprising when it was used by Mingdu. No matter how many people this assassin killed, he definitely couldn't compare to Mingdu's experience of being chased. Resist Ring of Fire was only one of Mingdu's many life-saving skills. Oh, you're quite knowledgeable. Mingdu calmly picked up the fragment on the ground, turned around, and looked at the assassin who was pushed away by Resist Ring of Fire. Sun-blocking Sunglow. Which guild are you from? How dare you ambush me? Are you tired of living? As he spoke, Mingdu pulled out his left hand, and a thunder spear appeared in his hand. Mingdu's strength was not particularly high in Xuanzhen, which was full of experts. However, his murderous nature and strange temper were definitely better than everyone in Xuanzhen combined. This kid usually wanted to kill a few people for fun, not to mention that he was ambushed at this time. At this time, it was already unprecedented that he didn't immediately make a move. This assassin called Sun-blocking Sunglow obviously didn't know that he already had one foot in the gates of hell. Don't worry about which guild I'm from. Tell me who you are. Our guild boss is looking for you. Mingdu heard this and sneered. Hee. Do you think you're qualified to talk to me like this? You've never died before, have you? What if you add us? As soon as Mingdu's words fell, a few figures appeared at the entrance of the alley, tightly blocking the narrow alley. These people had a complete set of classes, and their equipment wasn't weak either. It was obvious that they were specifically here for Mingdu. The leader was a female warrior. She looked pretty good, but in her hand was a big sword that was even taller than a person. The feeling of incongruity was especially strong. Looking at the people in front of him, Mingdu's reaction was quite calm. Who are you? Are you also here for revenge? Line up at the back. Also, revenge, line up? Hearing Mingdu's words, the people blocking the alley were stunned. How many F***king enemies did this guy have? He even had to line up for revenge. He didn't even ask for the names of his enemies. Could it be that he had so many enemies that he couldn't even remember them? Chapter 966. Humph. Seeing how arrogant Mingdu was, the leading female warrior snorted coldly. I was wondering what kind of expert he was. Turns out he's just like this. The female warrior hit the nail on the head. Mingdu's appearance and quality were indeed somewhat unsatisfactory. However, what kind of person was Mingdu? To him, such matters were not shameful at all. Instead, he was proud of it. Hearing the female warrior's words, Mingdu laughed nonchalantly. Hee hee. Do you really think that experts are all handsome and elegant? That's just the wishful thinking of you lowly commoners. Cut the crap. The female warrior said coldly. There are only two paths in front of you now. Either you go or you tell us the method to trigger the quest. Otherwise, Then, the female warrior pointed her sword forward and said, Swords have no eyes. Even if you don't say it, I will force you to say it. As soon as the female warrior finished speaking, everyone drew their weapons and prepared for battle. The assassin who was repelled by Mingdu's ring of fire also quickly retreated to the group. Say no more, I choose the third path. Mingdu smiled and swung his left hand forward. The thunder spear left his hand and flew straight towards the female warrior. At this moment, the paladin behind the female warrior flashed, and the scepter in his hand turned into a giant shield. The paladin raised the shield and blocked in front of the female warrior. Mingdu's thunder spear instantly disappeared when it collided with the shield. However, the shield did not even shake. That's pretty strong. Seeing this scene, Mingdu could not help but be surprised. Mingdu's thunder spear was a skill that he had obtained at the beginning of the game. He had already trained it to the maximum level. After reaching the maximum level, the thunder spear not only had a knockback effect, but its attack power was also relatively strong. In terms of single-target attack power, it was comparable to the strongest thunder spell. However, this paladin just casually blocked the thunder spear. It could be seen that the thunder spear's priority was higher than Mingdu's magic. This holy knight looked like he was just one of the female warrior's underlings. Any random person could have such strength. It seemed that these people were not simple. Of course, the paladin wasn't as relaxed as he looked after receiving Mingdu's attack. His expression changed, and he whispered to the female warrior, "Sister, you be careful. This person is very powerful." Is that so? The female warrior was also a little surprised. How powerful? The paladin said, "Just 1 skill and a half of my block slots were empty. This is the first time I've seen such a powerful magic attack." The female warrior nodded and decisively ordered, "There's a troublesome opponent. Everyone, let's attack together and finish this quickly." After receiving the female warrior's order, everyone rushed over with their weapons in hand without saying a word. "Shameless, you actually want to gang up on your father." Mingdu cursed inwardly when he saw this. He hit the ground with his staff, and flames rose from the ground, sealing the alley. The melee classes were directly pushed to the other side of the flames. Seeing this, the female warrior shouted, "Archers! Sorcerers!" Before the female warrior finished speaking, a rain of arrows fell from the sky above Mingdu. At the same time, Mingdu's feet heated up, and a ball of flames wrapped around Mingdu. After a few seconds, Mingdu's flames disappeared, and everyone saw the other side of the fire again. However, Mingdu was already gone. Everyone was confused. So weak? Could it be that he was beaten to death? As the players got higher and higher, their equipment got better and better, and their HP got higher and higher. Instant kills had long since faded from the player's view. In order to seal off Bright City's escape route, the archers and mages had used AoE skills like Arrow Hail and Firewall. Their single-target damage wasn't particularly impressive, so it was quite surprising that they had been able to instantly kill a player. Just as everyone was feeling puzzled, they suddenly heard a familiar voice from above. "Violent thunder! Up there! Dodge!" These players were obviously also experts. When they heard the voice, they did not even look up and hurriedly move. Whoosh! A bolt of lightning fell from the sky and landed in the crowd. Then, it turned into an electric snake that shuttled between the crowd. How was that violent thunder? It was clearly chain lightning. Mingdu was now Reynolds's in-name disciple, and could already control the conventional skills of all the elements. The female warriors group was tragic. Originally, the position where everyone stood could not trigger the chain effect, but Mingdu's violent thunder scared everyone into moving. As a result, the group of people ate a full set of chain lightning from Mingdu. Mingdu's magic damage was so high, and chain lightning had a stacking effect. Although it was an area of effect skill, the attack power was not much lower than a single target skill. The poor sun-covering afterglow was electrocuted to the point of near death. "Damn! This bitch!" Sun-covering afterglow waved his fist angrily at the sky, but a bolt of lightning fell and sun-covering afterglow was turned into ashes. At this time, everyone raised their heads and wanted to fight back, but Mingdu had already disappeared. "Damn it, I've been ambushed. They're all experts and I almost died. They seem to be coming for us. All of you, keep your eyes open." After escaping, Mingdu hurriedly sent a message to the others in the channel to warn them. However, Mingdu's reminder was obviously too late. As soon as Mingdu finished speaking, Wuji said, "I've also been ambushed. But I've already escaped." "Someone also ambushed me, but I can fly," Chun Xiang seconded. It turned out that almost at the same time, everyone in Chuanjin had been ambushed. "I killed someone while I was running." Foreskin's tone was somewhat proud. To place one's pride was unconvinced. "TSK, I kicked an opening and killed 3. I controlled them all and ran." Exquisite Dream also began to join in the fun. As expected of Chuanjin, they were clearly ambushed, but these people did not investigate who was behind it. Instead, they went off topic and began to compare with each other. Only Wang Yu's reply was more reserved. "Is that so? So those people were ambushing me. I thought someone was trying to steal the quest from me. As soon as Wang Yu said this, the guild channel instantly fell silent. Damn, so there were players who could not even differentiate between a noob and an expert. There was also this guy. The former was too weak and could not beat anyone. The latter was too strong and could hit anyone to place one's pride probe. You killed all those people? It was nothing. Wang Yu was exceptionally humble. Damn. Next time, don't interrupt when normal people are talking. Hearing this, everyone began to criticize Wang Yu. Speaking of which, why hasn't second bro said anything? At this time, the attentive Yang Na suddenly noticed that there was someone missing in the channel. Second bro? Everyone was stunned. They all asked Yin Lao Er, second bro, how many did you kill? However, after everyone sent the message, Yin Lao Er did not respond for a long time, as if he did not hear it. Chapter 967. Defensive players were the classic example of being able to resist but not run. Like all tanking classes, Yin Lao Er's defense was undeniable. However, his ability to escape was definitely a huge flaw. In the past, when Xuanzhen's players were being chased, the two most difficult players to escape were Yin Lao Er and Wuji. After Wuji acquired the flight skill, his flaws were basically made up for. On the other hand, Yin Lao Er only had the pitiful charge skill. In the past, Yin Lao Er was often together with Bao San. The two of them could tank and fight, so escaping was not a problem. Later on, with Mingdu, he could also use his skills to bring him to the rooftop. Now, Yin Lao Er was alone. Not only did he have short legs, but he also did not have any damage output. He could still fight solo, but if he was surrounded, it would be difficult for him to escape. Seeing Yin Lao Er's message, everyone was stunned. Damn, how could they have forgotten about this? Second bro, where are you? We'll go save you now. Everyone quickly confirmed Yin Lao Er's coordinates and wanted to go over to help. Yin Lao Er replied, I'm at the entrance of the arena. Come quickly, I can't hold on for much longer. Wait. I'm nearby, I'll be there soon. Just as Yin Lao Er finished speaking, Wang Yu responded in the channel. Before Yin Lao Er could reply, a tall and burly figure appeared on the rooftop opposite Yin Lao Er. With this size, this aura, this height, other than Wang Yu, there was definitely no one else. At this moment, Yin Lao Er was surrounded by people. Fortunately, the shield in Yin Lao Er's hand was a magical equipment, and he also had a very powerful backup shield. Even though he was surrounded, he was still in high spirit. Old cow, over here. Hurry up and kill these guys. Seeing Wang Yu, Yin Lao Er ignored the attacks and shouted at Wang Yu, who was on the rooftop. Hearing Yin Lao Er's words, the people who were besieging Yin Lao Er were slightly stunned. They quickly looked back and saw that Wang Yu was already not far behind them. Everyone stopped and looked around. Then, they looked at Wang Yu, who was alone. They couldn't help but look at each other. Just one? One fighter? It should be. F***CK. What's that? Seeing that the only reinforcement for Yin Lao Er was Wang Yu, and that he was just a mediocre grandmaster of combat, these guys no longer looked at Wang Yu. They turned around and continued to attack Yin Lao Er. At that time, Wang Yu said, "Continue if you don't want to die." Wow. This kid is quite arrogant. Let's take care of him together. Upon hearing Wang Yu's words, these guys were immediately displeased. They thought to themselves, "You're just a useless grandmaster of combat. What are you trying to act cool for? Since we've spared your life, don't blame us for being rude." Thinking of this, the leader of the warriors swung the long sword in his hand and used a heavy slash at Wang Yu. Seeing that Wang Yu was about to be hit, Wang Yu suddenly took a step forward and came face to face with the warrior. At the same time, he hooked his right hand back and hooked onto the hilt of the warrior's sword. Wang Yu's sudden appearance shocked the warrior. He lost his grip on the longsword and was knocked out of his hand by Wang Yu. The longsword brushed past Wang Yu's cheek and landed not far behind Wang Yu, stabbing into the ground. At the same time, Wang Yu received a system notification. Player, Second Order Hall, has launched an attack on you. You. As the saying goes, when an expert makes a move, it's easy to tell. With just one move from Wang Yu, Second Order Hall and his teammates were immediately stunned. These guys were no weaklings. They had dealt with many top-tier experts on a daily basis, so they had heard of all kinds of tricks. However, this was the first time they had seen such a shameless move to snatch someone's weapon from their hands. Wang Yu didn't think too much about it. Since he already knew who was attacking him, Wang Yu no longer showed mercy. His right hand, which was originally not far from Second Order Hall, suddenly reached out and grabbed Second Order Hall's neck. Before Second Order Hall could react, Wang Yu used Tiger Strike and threw him to the wall beside Yin Lao Air. Yin Lao Air had nowhere to vent his anger after being beaten up by Second Order Hall. Seeing Second Order Hall fly to his side, Yin Lao Air raised his shield and stunned him. Then, he pulled out his dagger and stabbed Second Order Hall. Second Order Hall didn't even have a chance to make a sound before he was stabbed to death by Yin Lao Air. The others were both shocked and enraged when they saw their companion get killed. They were shocked that two people dared to attack them, and they were enraged that Wang Yu and Shi Feng were ruthless enough to kill Second Order Hall so casually. Thinking up to this point, everyone immediately attacked Wang Yu. He didn't know which guild these players were from. There were a total of 8 of them, and all of them were melee classes. The 8 of them pulled into a formation and tried to use the same method they used to deal with Yin Lao Air to force Wang Yu to the foot of the wall. Unfortunately, Yin Lao Air couldn't compare to Wang Yu. Looking at the crowd surrounding him, Wang Yu calmly reached behind him and pulled an assassin out of thin air. He has eyes. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Before they could recover from their shock, Wang Yu threw the assassin in his hand at them. The group of laughing assassins was instantly smashed into a pile of rubble. Wang Yu followed closely behind and rushed in front of the crowd. With a thunderbolt stomp, he trampled the group of people into white light. "Old cow, thank goodness you're here." Yin Lao Air, who had just escaped death, was extremely excited. He ran up to Wang Yu to exchange a few words. Wang Yu waved his hand and said, "Let's go. We are being watched. If more people come, I won't be able to take care of you." Hearing Wang Yu's words, Yin Lao Air followed behind Wang Yu with lingering fear. He ran to the southern part of the city and stopped in front of a grocery store. Wuji and the others had been waiting there for a long time. They were squeezing into the grocery store and rubbing him. Beside Quan Jin's group stood a familiar face. It was Rolling Mario. Mario's expression was not good. It seemed that these guys had come here to seek refuge without Old Ma's permission. "Old Nyo, that's not very kind of you. It doesn't matter if you guys fight to the death, but don't bring the fire to me," Mario, who was rolling on the ground, said unhappily when he saw Wang Yu. Wang Yu smiled and said, "Old Ma, after thinking about it, your place is the safest." "Safe is safe. Can you ask them to take away the mahjong table? I can't do business like this." Rolling Mario spread his hands. "That can't be." Wang Yu looked at the people coming and going at the entrance of the store and said, "There are quite a lot of people. Your store is quite big. It's not like you lack this space." Rolling Mario said gloomily, "F***CK? I can't help it when they start playing." Everyone was speechless. "Keep it." Wuji waved at Mingdu. Under the glares of the others, he pushed his bad cards into the pile. Then, he stood up and asked Wang Yu, "How is it? Have you found out who attacked us?" The people of the Quan Jin sect had always been particular about striking first and gaining the upper hand. Hence, they were ambushed by a large wave of people. Other than Mingdu, no one knew who attacked them. Chapter 968. Second Order Hall? Wuji was surprised. What? Do you know them? Seeing Wuji's reaction, the others quickly turned to look at Wuji. I don't know. Wuji shook his head. Then why are you making such a fuss? Everyone rolled their eyes at the same time. This old man was so surprised that everyone thought he already knew who the enemy was. Wuji curled his lips and said, Nonsense. With our reputation, don't you think it's strange that this kind of nameless person dares to cause trouble for us? F***ck, don't you have any shame? Hearing Wuji's words, not only the Chuanjian players, but even Mario, who was rolling on the ground, raised his middle finger at Wuji. Chuanjian's reputation wasn't small, but it was more of an infamy. Even in Rebirth, Chuanjian had appeared on TV a lot, but after so many years, everyone's view of Chuanjian was deeply ingrained. There were only a few people in this group of people. A small guild could do whatever they wanted, so there was no need to offend this group of people. A large guild would not step on smelly dog poop, so they could not be bothered to deal with these people. At the end of the day, in the eyes of ordinary people, the Chuanjian sect was just a motley crew that was difficult to deal with. As for the fact that no one dared to provoke them, that was pure arrogance. This wasn't Afterglow City. Right now, the people from the Quanzhen sect had the most efficient method of collecting shards in the entire game. Not to mention the fact that they only had a dozen or so people, even the major guilds would probably be targeted. At this time, Mingdu suddenly said, If no one in Second Order Hall knows him, then do you know Shrouded Afterglow? This Shrouded Afterglow was the thief who had ambushed Mingdu. I don't know. Everyone shook their heads. The new mode of Rebirth had created countless new experts. It was normal for Chuanjian to not know many people. However, at this time, Mario, who was rolling on the ground, said, I seem to have heard of this name. Is there a female warrior called April Jade behind him? I do have a female warrior, but I don't know what her name is, Mingdu replied without thinking. That female warrior was like a man. She had too much character. Mingdu still remembered it vividly. Then there's no running away. This is the boss of high firmament cities full of golden jade. He's also a veteran expert. Have you heard of Golden Veil and Jade Tree? Rolling Mario said. So it's the husband and wife. Hearing Mario's words, everyone in Quanzhen remembered. In the past, there had been this pair of experts in the game. It was said that they were husband and wife in real life. Putting aside how strong these two were, because they were a rare husband and wife duo, their fame wasn't much weaker than that of Chuanjian. Apart from Wang Yu, everyone in Chuanjian was a veteran player, so it was normal for them to have heard of these two names. Then why isn't he using his original name? Mingdu's face was full of disdain. In the game circle, a name was a sign. The older the sign, the more strength it represented. What else could it be? Someone's registered it, Rolling Mario said. During the open beta of Rebirth, there were tens of millions of players logging into the game at the same time. These two were famous old IDs, so there would definitely be many admirers. It was normal for them to be registered. I didn't think they would play a guild too? Wuji rubbed his chin as he said in surprise. This husband and wife had always considered themselves to be the Eagle Hero couple, and had always been a Lone Ranger. They didn't think that they would play a guild in the new game mode. Rolling Mario said, Yeah, not only do they play a guild, they play it quite well. I heard that it's the biggest guild in High Firmament City. Oh, they're quite good. Wuji was slightly surprised. He turned his head to look at Rolling Mario and asked, How do you know so clearly? Rolling Mario said, Before you came, he bought medicine from me. Everyone. No wonder people said that shops and taverns were the source of information. It seemed that Rolling Mario had almost asked for 18 generations of people's ancestors when he opened a shop. If that's the case, there should be more than one guild ambushing you, Wang Yu concluded. It wasn't impossible for Second Hall's group to be players from Golden Jade Hall, but according to everyone's description, the strength of these ambushers was very different, The stronger ones were paladins that could resist Mingdu's magic. 10 miles away, there was a group of melee players that surrounded Yin Lao Air, and Second Hall's group that hadn't been able to kill Yin Lao Air yet. Of course, the exact strength of the opponents might be related to Chuanjin's habit of bragging. However, there was no doubt about the difference in strength between these people. If a guild ambushed a target, they would definitely pick the safer ones. Even if they only surrounded one person, there wouldn't be such a difference in strength. Hearing Wang Yu's conclusion, everyone nodded. Although Wang Yu's summary was on point, Wang Yu's use of the word "you" made everyone lose their dignity. They treated the ambushers as opponents, yet Wang Yu didn't care about them at all. It was clear that the difference in strength between Chuanjin and Chuanjin wasn't small. It seems that someone is behind this, Wang Yu said after giving the matter some thought. This time, everyone was a little confused. That's right. Wuji looked at Wang Yu in surprise. He then said, "Old Cow and I are thinking the same thing." "Why do you say that?" Rolling Mario was also confused. "Think about it. Why would so many guilds attack us for no reason?" Wuji asked. "Don't you have a very efficient way of completing quests?" Rolling Mario asked. "That's only one aspect of it." Wuji sneered. "If we don't know each other, would you still know that we're the ones doing quests in Thorn City?" This. Mario, who was rolling, was stunned. Thorn City and Yu Huiqing were neighbors, so they were considered relatively close. They had also heard of Chuanjin's group here. Even so, in the eyes of Thorn City's players, Chuanjin's group was nothing more than a mysterious party. Not only did the other party know who was doing the quest, but they were also able to confirm Chuanjin's target. It was obvious that these players had received some kind of rumor or information before coming here. After all, only by knowing everyone's name could they pay an NPC to confirm the target's coordinate. Is someone trying to trick you? Did you guys offend anyone? Thinking of this, Mario, who was rolling on the ground, asked Wuji. Hearing Rolling Mario's words, Chuanjin's members laughed. Wuji shook his index finger and said, "You're asking the wrong question. It seems that you still don't understand us, old Ma. If you understood us, you would have asked, 'Who have we not offended?'" Mario, who was rolling on the ground, was dumbfounded when he heard this. "Oh, I forgot that this group of people doesn't walk the ordinary path. It seems that Chuanjin has so many enemies that even they don't know who is secretly plotting against them." Chapter 969. As the saying went, don't be afraid of thieves stealing, but be afraid of thieves remembering. If it was a head-on battle, Chuanjin would have nothing to say. However, with so many guilds scheming in the dark, this made them feel uncomfortable. They were all experts in ambushes, so they naturally knew the consequences of being remembered by thieves. Wang Yu moved his limbs and said, "If you're afraid, you can play cards here. I have to go out for a walk." "Damn, who's afraid? Don't stop me. I'm going to fight them now." When they heard Wang Yu say this, everyone immediately became angry. They clamored to go out and kill their enemies. However, although their mouths were arrogant, their bodies were very honest. They were just saying it. Wuji smiled and waved his hand. "All right, everyone, don't be rash. Old Ma, is your team still around? It's long been disbanded. Why are you looking for them? Do you think we can help you?" Rolling Mario curled his lip. Chuanjin was now the target of everyone. Even if their team was still around, there were only a dozen or so people. What was the difference between helping and not helping? "Don't worry, I won't let you help for free." Wuji smiled. "Do you want the cloak shards?" "Nonsense. Who doesn't want them? How can it be our turn now?" Rolling Mario's tone was very dissatisfied. It seemed that it was the same in every main city. The resources were firmly monopolized by the big guild. Ordinary players couldn't even get a share, so they were more resentful. "All right, I'll tell you how to do the quest. Now, bring your teammates to the streets to do the quest. As for how many shards you can get, it's all up to you," Wuji said calmly. This. You can't be thinking of using us as bait, right? Rolling Mario wasn't stupid. He immediately saw through Wuji's intentions. Wuji didn't try to hide it. Instead, he smiled and said, "If you want to repay, you have to give something in return. Let me tell you, right now, these cloak fragments are very rare. A main city only sells 350 fragments a day." 350? Hearing Wuji's words, the Rolling Mario was shocked. So little? Of course, otherwise we wouldn't have come all the way to Thorn City, Wuji said. So, do you want to do it or not? The Tumbling Mario hesitated. Tumbling Mario was a very smart guy. He understood the pros and cons normally. Tumbling Mario would never help others as bait for a few fragments. However, after hearing that there were so few fragments, he immediately changed his mind. As the saying goes, rare goods are worth hoarding. Why were antique paintings so valuable? It was because they were rare. Some merchants who did not understand the true meaning of antiques but still relied on them to make a profit would even destroy a part of the antique and charge a sky-high price for it. From this, it could be seen that the rarer something was, the greater its value. Currently, there were hundreds of millions of players in Rebirth. Each main city had at least 300,000 to 400,000 people, and 300,000 to 400,000 people had 350 shards. What kind of ratio was this? That's right, you need 50 shards to make a cloak. Just as Mario was rolling on the ground, Wuji spoke again. All right. It's settled then. This sentence made Mario, who was rolling on the ground, make a decision. 50 fragments to make a cloak. In other words, after the entire event, each main city would only have 21 cloaks. Everyone had already seen the attributes of the cloaks on the official website. Dark gold equipment had the ability to fly. For players, it was definitely a godly item. After the event, the price of the cloak fragments would definitely skyrocket. Dying once would only result in a 10% loss of experience. Compared to the benefits, it was like picking up gold for free. I'll call for help now, Tumbling Mario said as he opened his friend list and sent a message to Emo Xiaobei and the others. In the end, Tumbling Mario asked Wuji curiously, "Isn't it better to just tell them the method?" Wuji sneered. Do you think our Chuanjin is the kind of people who will admit defeat after being ambushed once? No, Mario, who was rolling on the ground, suddenly understood. The people from the Quanjin sect were famous for being difficult to deal with. They were unmoved by force or persuasion. If one wanted a method to farm shards, they could go to the Quanjin sect and pay a high price for it. As long as the price was high enough, with the temperament of the Quanjin sect, they might just tell others the method. However, if one tried to play dirty, they wouldn't be happy. It was just a game. Dying a few times wouldn't be a big loss. This group of bored and vicious characters would definitely have the patience to fight to the death with anyone who dared to challenge them. No matter how big a guild was, could it be bigger than the Three Fiends Manor? No matter how many enemies they had, could it be compared to being hunted by the entire game? It wasn't like Chuanjin had never experienced such a thing. In the past, they had dared to challenge the world's #1 guild with just 5 or 6 people. Now they had even more powerful teammates. If they really angered this group of people, even if they announced the method on the forums, they wouldn't compromise. This was Chuanjin's character. They were a group of desperados. Of course, Wuji had his own reasons for doing this. Firstly, Tumbling Mario was a friend. Chuanjin was never stingy with their friends. It didn't matter if they shared it. Secondly, there were only a few people in Tumbling Mario's group. There were 300 main cities in the game. Even if they told Tumbling Mario, it wouldn't affect their own interests. However, it was a different story for these guild players. Their numbers were secondary. With their arrogant personalities, if Wang Yu and the others dared to take a step back, these players would dare to take 10 steps forward. They might even dare to force Quanjin's team to hand over all their fragments. Moreover, Wuji wanted to use Tumbling Mario's group as bait. Naturally, he had to give the bait some benefit. At this time, Mo Xiaobei and the others were also wandering around the street. After receiving the news from Rolling Mario, they soon arrived at Rolling Mario's shop. Old Ma, you said you have a strategy to farm fragments? Mo Xiaobei shouted from afar as soon as they entered the shop. Yes. Tumbling Mario pointed at Wuji and said, to be exact, they do. It's you guys. Long time no see. So you guys are the mysterious team that has caused a lot of commotion. I should have guessed it was you guys. Mo Xiaobei saw that Wuji's group was much friendlier than before. It seemed that trash like Lucifer wasn't completely useless. At the very least, he could act as a lubricant between the two teams. Haha. It's just an empty reputation. Wuji was rarely humble. Lil Bei, brother Wuji, isn't going to share the strategy for free. He has some matters to discuss with us. Mario, who was rolling on the ground, explained Wuji's thoughts. After he finished speaking, he glanced at Mo Xiaobei cautiously. After all, it wasn't a good thing to use others as bait. If it wasn't for benefits, it would be good if people didn't get angry. Chapter 970. Although Mo Xiaobei was just a woman, she was more courageous and loyal than many men in the world. Moreover, as the former captain of the Scarlet Flame battle team, Mo Xiaobei had a lot of authority. Seeing Mo Xiaobei agree to Wuji and the others, no one raised any objections. If this was Chuanjin, it would be impossible. Seeing Mo Xiaobei's subordinates being so obedient and clever, Wuji felt very tired. Boss Wuji, as long as you say it, we will do it, Mo Xiaobei said confidently after arranging her subordinates. Wuji said indifferently, there's nothing to say. There are 11 of you and 11 of us. Let's split up. Split up? How do we split up? Mo Xiaobei was dumbfounded. These guys were really bold. Who knew how many guilds were targeting them, but they still dared to split up. If it wasn't for the fact that she knew Chuanjin's abilities, Mo Xiaobei would have thought these people were crazy. Wuji said casually, the two teams will mix with each other. You can trigger the quest in the open. Our people will protect you in the dark. Protect us alone? That's not just one person. At this moment, an assassin said from the side. This assassin's name was very arrogant. He was called Thief Saint by Yutong. He was quite cautious. When he heard that he would be the bait and only one person would protect him, he wanted to retreat. This reaction was very normal. After all, Chuanjin's opponents weren't as simple as just one guild. So far, everyone knew that there were at least a dozen of them, and all of them were big guilds. Although these guilds had only revealed a team so far, the elite players of big guilds were much stronger than ordinary teams. Even though Chuanjin's strength wasn't weak, ordinary people didn't have the confidence to deal with an elite team by themselves. However, Chuanjin's people didn't have any concerns and directly ignored by Yutong's worries. Mingdu was still shouting, 2 people in a team is good. Miss Xiaobei can be in my team. When men and women work together, it won't be tiring. What do you guys think? Everyone, don't worry, I won't let Miss Xiaobei get hurt. As soon as Mingdu said that, many people rolled their eyes at him, especially to Place One's Pride, who jumped up and down and shouted, don't be so shameless. Why don't you take a look at your face? Shouldn't you bunch of old farts stay aside? Bullsh *T, don't you feel cold after seeing this killer? Uncle is the king. Chun Xiang was not to be outdone. He waved his staff and was about to knock to Place One's Pride. Bai Yutong and the members of the Scarlet Flame squad were dumbfounded when they saw Chuanjin's shameless bunch still wanting to split the girls even at this time. Damn it, are these guys really being hunted down? Why does it feel like an outing? While everyone was in a daze, Mario also joined the fray. I will let Xiaobei go with whoever agrees to let Old Cow follow me. As soon as Mario finished speaking, everyone from Chuanjin raised their hands. Hee Nyogo, you don't have any objections if we go together, right? Mario asked as he walked to Wang Yu's side with a mischievous smile. Wang Yu's attitude was very casual. It doesn't matter who follows me. I'm fine alone. Then who will Xiaobei follow? At this time, everyone questioned Mario. Mario grinned and said, logically speaking, everyone has a share. Xiaobei can choose who to follow. Damn it, you shameless bastard! Everyone roared angrily and became a mess. In the end, Mo Xiaobei personally expressed her opinion. As the leader of Chuanzhen's strength, Wang Yu had some convincing fighting strength. Therefore, the Scarlet Flame Squad's first choice was Wang Yu. Originally, Mo Xiaobei also wanted to team up with Wang Yu, but Mario beat her to it, so she had no choice but to choose Wuji. In fact, this was mostly due to Mo Xiaobei's lack of familiarity with Chuanzhen. In Mo Xiaobei's eyes, Wuji should be more reliable as a partner. As for the pitiful Bai Yutong, he was given to Chun Xiang. Chun Xiang was very dissatisfied with Wuji's action of giving him a big man. Bai Yutong was also very gloomy. Why am I not worthy of a wretched old man like you? Why do you look so unwilling? Bai Yutong would have been anxious if he couldn't beat Chuanzhen. Wuji had commanded tens of thousands of people in a battle, so a mere 20 people was naturally not a problem. Soon, Wuji divided the teams. Everyone walked out of Mario's shop one after another, splitting up and starting the mission along the street. At the same time, Second Hall and Shrouding Sunglow also received the news. The target has left the safe area and is on the move again. The coordinates are, damn it, I want to quit now. Suddenly, Second Hall shouted in the team chat. Quit? Why? Shrouding Sunglow asked. Second Hall said with lingering fear. This group of people from Chuanzhen is too strange. I don't think it's necessary to clash with them. The people from the Quanzhen sect were infamous. Everyone knew that they were like sticky candy. In the past, they had only heard of them and didn't feel anything. But after exchanging blows with them, there was only one word in Second Stage Hall's heart: fear. After playing the game for so long, it wasn't like Second Hall had never died before. However, this was the first time he had died in such an inexplicable manner. When he opened his eyes, he saw that his brothers had also reincarnated. Second Hall was truly afraid. No matter what, his team could be considered an expert. It was just 2 rounds of fighting, and he didn't even know how he died. Was there anything more terrifying than this? If it weren't for the cape reward being too tempting, Second Hall would have quit long ago. Shrouding Sunglow nodded and said, Yes, I know that. Famous people live up to their reputation. But if you want the treasure, you have to be unafraid of sacrifice. Even if I die once today, I will still be here, right? You don't understand. Second Hall said, The enemy you encountered is different from us. Hearing Second Hall defend himself, April Ryu couldn't stand it anymore and said with disdain, TCH, we're all going to die. What's the difference? If we all die, it's because you're not strong enough. Second brother, are you scared? We're all in the same boat now. It's too late for you to run. That's right, second brother. We also got wiped, but we weren't as scared as you guys. A shield warrior called Rolling Wheels chimed in. Rolling Wheels' team was the first to ambush Wang Yu. Second Hall curled his lips and said, Nonsense. With your trash strength, it would be strange if you didn't get wiped. What? It seems you have a prejudice against iron chariots. Rolling Wheels didn't have a good temper. It was one thing to be mocked by others, but Second Hall, who had also been wiped out, dared to say such words. What? If you don't like it, bring me out. Second Hall didn't want to be outdone. Chapter 971. Seeing the words in the channel, the two were stunned and immediately quieted down. Damn, this seller was really arrogant. It was as if he didn't lack customers and wasn't polite at all. However, the service was quite considerate. Knowing that the NPC's price for scouting coordinates was too high, and they didn't have extra people to specifically search for coordinates, they took the initiative to help everyone search for coordinates. Of course, searching for coordinates wasn't free. Everyone had to share the cost. In the time it took to waste, 11 sets of coordinates had refreshed once, and the second round of fees had begun. The search fee was 100 gold per time. Although it wasn't much for a big guild, it couldn't stop the speed at which coordinates refreshed. Yu urged, "Alright, if you have any thoughts, wait until we're done. Whoever dares to dawdle will be the first to be killed." Yu's words were quite effective. Once she said this, Second Hall and Rolling Wheels immediately shut up. They led their team and the others to chase after Chuanjin again. At this time, Chuanjin and the others were following behind Scarlet Flame Battle Team, circling around the streets to attract their target. It seemed to be the first time Scarlet Flame Battle Team played the game like this. It was extremely novel, especially Mo Xiaobei. No matter how manly she was still a woman. Her curiosity was much stronger than ordinary people. Along the way, Mo Xiaobei kept asking questions, annoying Wuji to the point that he even regretted not bringing a man with him. "Big sis, you can ask questions, but can you not look back at me? Aren't you exposing me?" Faced with Mo Xiaobei's 100,000 whys, Wuji was so anxious that he was sweating. Mo Xiaobei said impatiently, I know. You've said this so many times. Don't you find it annoying?" Wuji was speechless. This chick actually found him annoying. "Hey, let me ask you. Do you usually trick people like this?" Mo Xiaobei asked again. Wuji said confidently, "This is called tactics. Tactics in a game. You're really interesting." Mo Xiaobei laughed. Wuji was on the verge of collapse. He pointed at the flower shop at the corner of the street and said, "There's a flower shop there. What, you want to buy me flowers? I'm a very cold person." Mo Xiaobei was surprised that Wuji could still think of buying flowers for a girl in this kind of situation. She didn't expect Wuji, this gangster leader, to have such a romantic side. "No," Wuji said. "Ambush 2 archers and 2 magicians at the flower shop. I can block the entire street. This is strategy." F***CK. Mo Xiaobei turned around and gave Wuji a middle finger. Right at this moment, Wuji suddenly said, "Be careful, the snake is coming out of its hole." "Where?" Mo Xiaobei was startled and quickly looked around. In the end, an unspecialized team was still an unspecialized team. Mo Xiaobei was an expert, but her tactics were much worse than Blood Alliance's elite team, let alone Chuanjin's. Her commanding skills were quite lacking. Wuji quickly said, "Don't look around. Pretend you don't know anything and move in the direction of 9 o'clock." "Oh," Mo Xiaobei replied. She followed Wuji's instructions and slowly moved to the side. At this moment, a round shield warrior appeared in Mo Xiaobei's field of view. It was the guy called Rolling Wheels. At this moment, Rolling Wheels Group was staring at Mo Xiaobei's chest and muttered, "Huh? That's not right. The coordinates we received were clearly here. Why isn't this girl from Chuanjin? F***CK, this meatball dares to tease me." Mo Xiaobei saw Rolling Wheels Group's gaze and her face turned ugly. Wuji said, "Don't bother, just walk straight ahead." "What about you?" Mo Xiaobei asked. "On the roof," Wuji said and then said, "Don't look at me." Mo Xiaobei was helpless. She could only face Rolling Wheels Group's gaze and continue forward with a red face. Rolling Wheels Group was here to cause trouble, not to look for a girl. With the principle that it was better to avoid trouble, they didn't make things difficult for Mo Xiaobei and let her pass by. At this moment, Mo Xiaobei received a message from Wuji, "Turn left 45 degrees. There's an archer 430 meters away. Take care of him. Just throw a 45-degree burst punch behind you, no need to look." Okay. Mo Xiaobei trusted Wuji a lot. As expected, she didn't look back to confirm the distance and angle. She turned around and threw a burst punch. The archer under Rolling Wheels wasn't stupid. When Mo Xiaobei walked over, he was naturally on guard. If Mo Xiaobei turned around and peeked, she would definitely be discovered. Now that she suddenly attacked, the archer was caught off guard. Burst punch. Sweeping kick. Sky-dominating fist dance. The archer's health was still pitifully low. Before he could react, he was killed by Mo Xiaobei. Hearing a scream behind them, Rolling Wheels and the others turned around in a hurry. They only saw a flash of white light under Mo Xiaobei's fist. "This girl is from Chuanjin, catch her!" Rolling Wheels immediately ordered. The others turned around and chased after her. At this moment, Mo Xiaobei also received a command from Wuji. 30 degrees to the right, 1,200 meters away, there's a mage. Rush over and kill him. Damn, he can throw a few spells at such a long distance. Mo Xiaobei complained as she ran. However, she didn't see the mage throw a single spell even when she reached him. Mo Xiaobei looked carefully and saw a string of ellipses above the mage's head. It seemed that he had been muted by Wuji. The muted mage was a sitting duck. With a few punches and kicks, Mo Xiaobei sent the mage back to the resurrection point. Meanwhile, Rolling Wheels and the others had already caught up to Mo Xiaobei. The weapons in their hands were all aimed at Mo Xiaobei. "Damn, you're trying to trick me too?" Just when Mo Xiaobei thought she was going to die, a white light suddenly fell from the sky and wrapped around her. Rolling Wheels and the others' attacks were instantly rendered useless. At the same time, Mo Xiaobei received a message from Wuji. "Run, they can't catch up to you." Mo Xiaobei was speechless. She rolled on the ground and ran away, relying on her invincibility effect. The remaining players under Rolling Wheels were either priests or warriors. How could they catch up to the Grandmaster of Combat, who could run and jump? In a short while, Mo Xiaobei disappeared around the corner of the street. Damn! We've lost big this time." Rolling Wheels and the others were gloomy. What kind of people were these? 10 people ganged up on one, but not only did they not catch the target, 2 of them were killed. This was too much of a loss. One of the underlings reminded optimistically, "Boss, let's just rejoice. Luckily the Grandmaster of Combat is a girl." If it was that big guy, hearing this, everyone's expression changed. They pointed at that person and said in unison, "All right, shut your crow's mouth." Chapter 972. PvP was a skill. With the same equipment, if you fought one-on-one, winning would prove that you had good mechanic. If you could win one-on-two, then you could be called an expert. Rolling Wheels Group was also an expert from a big guild. Their equipment levels were naturally much better than Mo Xiaobei's. Mo Xiaobei brought along Wuji, who didn't even show his face, so there were only 2 of them. On the other hand, the other side had a team of 10 people. For Mo Xiaobei and Wuji, they had the advantage of numbers. With such a huge disparity in strength, Mo Xiaobei never thought that she would have a chance of winning. However, under Wuji's command, Mo Xiaobei was actually able to kill 2 people while being surrounded by a team of 10 and walk away. This was something only a top expert could do. Mo Xiaobei couldn't believe she could do this. Exciting, right? Mo Xiaobei's expression was seen by Wuji on the roof. Yeah. Mo Xiaobei nodded. Honestly, this was the first time Mo Xiaobei felt like she was an expert after PvP so many times. "This is called strategy," Wuji said proudly. "Okay, then let's go kill another wave." Mo Xiaobei clenched her fists. "Wow, this girl still hasn't had enough." Wuji wiped his sweat. Wait a bit. At the same time, in another remote corner of Thorn City, Chun Xiang and Bai Yutong ran into Second Hall's members, who were looking around the corner. Second Stage Hall's group was clearly scared of Wang Yu. They were the ones hiding in the dark, but they were scared and cowering, afraid to see that terrifying figure. Chun Xiang was Wuji's best friend. The two's behavior was quite similar, both walking on the roof. As the saying goes, the higher you stand, the farther you can see. Before Second Stage Hall's group got close, Chun Xiang had already discovered them. He reminded, "Little White, be careful, they're here. Please call me God Thief." Bai Yutong was unhappy with Chun Xiang's title. Okay, little white, Chun Xiang said. Bai Yutong broke into a sweat and said, then should I go into stealth? Spring Xiang waved his hand and said, what's stealth? Let's face them head on. Hearing Chun Xiang's words, Bai Yutong immediately panicked. F***ck. You want me to face 10 people head on? Brother Chun, even if you don't like teaming up with me, you can't just kill me. Bai Yutong was an assassin, and assassins always relied on stealth and sneakiness. Directly going up to face them head on was basically no different from throwing away one's life. Unexpectedly, Chun Xiang glared at him and said, being refined and humble is this old man's byword. How can this old man be that kind of person? You're a man, so why would I punish you? Then I wouldn't dare. Bai Yutong spread his hands to indicate that he admitted defeat. This kid's attitude had always been very negative. Chun Xiang saw that this kid was so timid, so he said earnestly, Xiao Bai, did you forget that I gave you a fragment just now? Fragments are fragments. You said that you want us to be the bait. You didn't say that you want us to die. Bai Yutong retorted. Chun Xiang tried to move his emotions and reason. I treat you like a real brother. Why would I harm you? Even a real brother would stab me in the back. Bai Yutong was really unmoved by force or persuasion. Chun Xiang had no choice but to use his ultimate weapon. If you die in battle, how about I gather an assassin's cloak for you? Really? As expected, players in the game were the most realistic. Thousands of words were not as good as a promise. Bai Yutong's eyes widened when he heard that he could gather an entire cloak. Bai Yutong had a deep understanding of the rarity of a fragment. As for a cloak, Bai Yutong didn't even dare to think about it normally. This old man naturally won't lie, but brother, you can't just throw away your life. Chun Xiang said cautiously. It couldn't be helped. If the target of the trade was anyone in Chuanjin, these guys would definitely throw away their lives regardless of the cost. Chun Xiang, who knew how sinister people could be, naturally had to be on his guard. Bai Yutong said confidently, Don't worry, brother Chun. This holy thief isn't that kind of person. You can do whatever you want. If you don't give any instructions, I'll think of it as dying for nothing. Good brother. When Chun Xiang heard this, he broke into a cold sweat and thought, if it was that B***ts Ming do, he wouldn't have gone through so much trouble. He'd definitely put thunderstorm on his head and let someone sell him. I'm really a noble person. When he thought of this, Chun Xiang could not help but praise himself from the bottom of his heart. At the same time, Bai Yutong also went to meet the people from second-class hall. Chuanjin. When they saw Bai Yutong walking toward them, the people from second-class hall were shocked, and they quickly got into a fighting stance. When he saw the 10 mighty and majestic men in front of him, Bai Yutong started to sweat. Brother, I'm scared. At this moment Chun Xiang said, Don't be afraid. Take 10 steps forward, turn around and stab them in the back. 10 steps. Bai Yutong was willing to go all out for the cloak. He counted his steps and continued to move forward. The distance of 10 steps was neither more nor less, and he brushed past second-class hall. Second-class hall also saw that the symbol on Bai Yutong's chest was not the yin-yang fish of Chuanjin, so they did not attack him. Gulp. When Bai Yutong arrived behind second-class hall, he gulped. Without hesitation, he turned around and stabbed second-class hall in the back with backstab. At the same time, Bai Yutong received another order from Chun Xiang. Turn around and move swift for 3 seconds, then enter stealth. Without hesitation, Bai Yutong turned around and activated swift movement. Shit! Second-class hall was shocked. He hurriedly turned around and swung his greatsword behind him, activating whirlwind slash and slashing at Bai Yutong. However, Bai Yutong had long since activated swift movement, barely missing the attack range of second-class hall's whirlwind slash. Since second-class hall did not have a target in mind, He circled behind Bai Yutong and slashed at him. After 3 seconds of swift movement, Bai Yutong's speed began to slow. By the time second-class Hall's whirlwind slash ended, Bai Yutong's figure flickered and disappeared. Not good. The assassin is in stealth. Everyone back to back. Seeing Bai Yutong disappear, second-class Hall was stunned. He immediately turned around and used charge to return to his formation. Then, he stood back to back with his subordinate. Since they did not have any ranged classes, this was the best defensive formation. They're on guard. What should we do? Bai Yutong asked anxiously when he saw that second-class Hall had no intention of killing himself one by one. Chun Xiang chuckled. This is exactly the effect I wanted. As soon as Chun Xiang finished speaking, a black circle appeared beneath second-class Hall's feet. Then, a dark barrier appeared and nailed second-class Hall's members to the ground. Swoosh! At the same time, an oily green halo spread out from the center of the team, turning second-class Hall's members green. System notice: you have been poisoned. Your movement speed has decreased by 40% and your HP has decreased by 1% every second. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.